Where did I put my PDF?
Hello, everyone. We're going to have more people joining in over time. Everybody's got their things on a Sunday. The good thing is I usually do start on time in every situation, so that's a good start. And we've got that ear going. We've got Fubel here with us, and the Hinterlands book is ready to be looked at. So we've got a few different things we're going to look at tonight. We're going to welcome in some people. As usual, our good friend David Glenn is here, one of our wonderful mods. Doesn't have to work too much for me, at least. Got American Patriot. I streamed with him on Wednesday when we did the Megamech game. And Nathaniel just played his first game in 12 years recently, well, the Friday. Happy to hear that. Remember that Megamech is pretty easy to use once you figure it out. If you just want to throw things together and just test things out or just play for fun, if you just like to game and not game with people, it might not be a bad idea as well. I want to run an Operation Bulldog campaign after New Year's. That gives you a decent amount of things you can do. Operation Bulldog depends on what you want to play, I would assume. And it gives you a decent number of mechs available for fun. What was it? What was the year on that? Operation Bulldog.
30, 57. Or, yeah,
3059.
59.
So, I mean, you've got all the 3050 mechs, 55, 58s.
Yeah.
So you've got a pretty good group of stuff.
I guess 3057 was Coventry, so.
Mm-hmm. And you have some of those cool Omni-mechs, Inner Sphere Omni-mechs that weren't exploited as much as they should have, let's say. So it's a good start. This was actually one of the more fun period of the game, I would say, because there was a lot of stuff going on during Clan Invasion and that period there. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Honestly, basically anything from 3050 to 3067, there's tons going on. It's just, what do they actually cover?
Well, they should be covering more, but like we said, that they took a break from making those books.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I forget I just remembered my main point about the book.
You want to feel the bushwhacker? Well, I did do a video on the bushwhacker. If you want to look at the different options you have for it, it's never one of my first choices. I do like the looks of it, but it never performed well for me.
Have you checked out the Gauntlet?
Oh, the Gauntlet, though, I like. The Gauntlet, I like a lot more, let's say. Of course, it's not available during that time period.
True. Hey, honestly, in my opinion, use the mechs whenever you feel like it.
Really depends on how historical or as historical you want things to be.
Right.
I mean, I don't think there's anything on the Gauntlet, though, that you wouldn't have in that period. Endo, Light Pharaoh, Light Engine's not available yet. So yeah, you're gone.
It'd be a little later. It's not that far out.
Yeah, but it was. Oh, and the Thunderbolt 10 on the base model, Heavy PPC on the base model, those are not available.
Well, I was gonna say the Thunderbolt has been in the game since Tactical Ops, at least.
Yeah, so it's that bit is not hard to do. The Heavy PPC, I mean, Heavy and Light PPCs are not hard to do either. I mean, if you have a tech that knows how it works, probably be able to do it. There, David is pimping out my bushwhacker video. The cool, and we're not talking about the awesome tag team from WWE. WWE. Or is it WW? Were they in WWE or WWF? I think WWF.
No,
They were there a
WWE
long time ago.
because
Okay. Uh he's got summer teeth right there. I mean, at least they look threatening compared to some of the modern wrestlers we've seen. So,
at least you can see them.
mm. I mean, there's so many good mechs you can use in that era. Anyways, you don't need to jump and go get things like the Gauntlet. If you run Inner
Right.
Sphere, though, you will be running XL engines. So be careful about that. In Operation Bulldog, every single mech on the Inner Sphere side, if you lose a side torso, you're dead. That's basically the rule.
Oh God.
I mean, I did the Marauder. I just recorded the Marauder video today. Well, today and yesterday. I mean, it's a 32, 33-minute video. It's crazy. I mean, it's one of the longest one I've done in Battletech. I was doing longer stuff for when I was doing comics. Sometimes it got long in the tooth. But I mean, it's not one of the longest Battletech one I've done. And I don't do, usually I do historical stuff. I talk about different things. No, for the Marauder, I was talking about the Marauder for about 33 minutes.
Jeez. I mean,
Yeah.
at least it's not some of the other people out there who it would be 5 hours. But hey,
Oh, such a, I don't, well, I understand how they do it and I understand why they do it. In terms of algorithm and in terms of ad revenue, you can make bank doing that.
well, you can
My,
make bank on the ad revenue. The algorithm, you're punished.
mm,
So it's kind of because I thought the sweet spot used to be between 12 and 18 minutes or something like that.
yeah, it would be about that, I would say, for YouTube videos. But I
Yeah.
mean, in my case, it's however long it's gonna take. I
Yeah.
don't want to. I mean, there's
Without
some
getting
mechs
off
that I can
topic.
talk about in 15 minutes, and there's some mechs I can talk about probably in 6. I mean, I haven't done any of the really super short ones recently, but and in the shorter ones, you can always find things to fill out, especially if you look at the books, if you look at the novels, if you look at all that stuff. I was having fun making myself a Davion Marauder with modern technology, and it is far more survivable than any of the modern Marauders because it doesn't have that XL engine. Max armor, 2 PPCs, 2 ER medium and ER large, and 20 double heat sinks. This thing
Okay.
is going. This thing would be nasty.
Yeah.
Could go with ER PPCs, but the problem is the heat curve would be too high with that.
Is it
Here,
using
I
Clan Furus? Furo?
no standard. I mean, if it was built by Flanagan, it would be Clan Pharaoh. But I, this is a thing that the Davion would be able to build without any major issues. I mean, that's the fun thing right now with Ilklando. You have to look at what people can actually build. Sometimes there's odd
Or
stuff
they just
going
buy it.
around. Just use
Diamond
3
Sharks for the win.
PPCs. The 3 PPCs, I mean, that's not a bad idea either. Um, the ER large does give you one advantage over the PPC that it doesn't have a minimum range. It's a bit lighter, doesn't have a minimum range. Would be reasonable. But 3 PPCs, I mean, it would be a pocket awesome at that point. So awesome light. I mean, there's very few wrong things about wanting to make a light awesome or a lighter awesome. Thunderbolt is such a fantastic mech as well, in the same kind of category of all-rounder that can do so much. Basically, it's
Wolverine 2.
I don't know any Wolverine 2, but it might be a an update to a standard one.
Nope. It's
American
from it was a Clan Wolverine back, so it became a
Oh,
Hellhound.
okay.
But
I mean,
yeah,
Wolverines. Wolverines. There was also quite a bit when I did the video on that one.
yeah,
But a lot of them just end up being like, what do you put in the gun with a Streakus RM6 on the shoulder?
yeah. It was from Operation Klondike.
Operation Klondike. Operation Klondike would be a fun book to look at, to be honest. There's a few.
It's one of their better books.
Yeah, what I think I'm going to be doing on every other Sundays basically is look at a book with various people who want to show up on the stream. I think it's a good format and a good thing to talk about. And there's always things to talk about, and it's not always the old books that we're going to look at or the new books we're going to look at. I think we're just going to look at books in the source books in general to give us an idea of where we're going.
Yeah.
Operation Klondike, I think I almost want to do War of 39 because that's a book that I've bought a little while back. I've read half of it, but with work, I didn't have time to finish it. So it would give me an opportunity to finish War of 39, which is an historical book, which is pretty good as well. Operation
Honestly,
Klondike would be at the top of the list as well, I think.
I would say if you're going to do Operation Klondike, you actually have to do the whole series. You have to do War of Reunification, the two Star League books, and then Operation Klondike, just to kind of give you that whole
arc.
Yeah.
War of Reunification. What are you, an inner sphere? What are you, a spheroid? It's the War of Star League Aggression. That's what it should be called, and it's what it's called around here.
It was the liberation of Terra.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about Reunification War. Who cares?
Yeah. The War of Star League Aggression. And then you start playing Dixie in the back. Even though the Taurian Concordat is far more Spanish, so never mind.
I was gonna say that's Texas.
No, Texas is Franc reaches. It's a thing that I keep bringing up. Once you look into the Taurian Concordat, they're really closer to Republican Spain from the late 30s to the 50s. They're under Franco, basically. So you have you have to serve the nation. You have to you are independent and free because you're not communist, etc.
All right.
Did someone say war? Kaplan. Always the good people.
So, yeah, that's because they haven't been talked about in a while.
Well, I try to bring them up when I work on stuff, but not always easy. So we're gonna start
newer stuff. They haven't really been talked about.
All right. We're going to look at Hinterlands today, Hotspots Hinterlands. Well, currently we have two people with pretty much the same opinion on it, or at least a close opinion on it. The one good thing about it, I would say, though, is the price point. Book and PDF, $39.99. It is not the most expensive book from their library, let's say. Compared to some of the other source books.
Still.
And it is still hardback. That would be a book that I wouldn't mind being paperback.
Yeah.
Because that, especially since there's a lot of table and a lot of things to flip through, I think paperback might have been a better idea, or at least have the option to do both. But I don't think it's available. I mean, it's the same price as those force manuals that we've looked at, but it's a bit shorter as well. It's only 140 pages, 154 pages. So it's not a thick book as well. At least those hardbacks, I haven't had any issues with the hardbacks that I bought from CGL. The binding is okay. The quality of the paper is pretty darn good for a role-playing book. The art back itself is an art back. It's not one of those weird hybrids. So quality of the book itself, I don't have this book in my hands, but I'm pretty sure you're getting enough quality that the price on it is not entirely awful. I think that's the best way to put it. Is it a thing that they should be selling individually? That is another question altogether. Because this is really a campaign book, right? It is
No.
not meant to be used individually in any way, shape, or form. You can't even use that book, like the 2 force manuals you could use to just read up on the lore of House Davion and the lore of House Karita, and you'd have, a book that's fun to read even if you don't play the game too much. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yes. This book is totally pointless if you want to just read it for lore purposes.
Exactly. It is not a bad thing. I mean, that's what we buy role-playing game books for, but it's a little bit weird. The version I have, I am not sure if it's a proof or that's the actual PDF that you can buy. I am not 100% sure. I'll be honest with everyone, because there's a few weird artifacts and a few weird things when I scroll through it. First thing that we're going to talk about, of course, is the cover. It is really cool looking, but has very little to do with the Hinterlands, with the inside of the book itself. And like Otter Pops often say, it's a big mech going pew pew. It's not something that's actually interesting or something that's really different, let's say, from what
I
we've
just
had
want to know
before.
why it needs a ghillie suit.
Because it's cool. I mean, not the worst thing ever, but I mean, if you look at the covers, it's almost always those big robot going pew pew, which is not a
Right.
bad thing. We were making fun of this one a minute ago, but it is not big robot going pew pew. There is something
The
going
Night in the
on.
Woods.
Yeah, there is something going on. It is
Yeah.
different than just a big action piece, which is not a bad thing either. And we should have more of those. I mean, it used to be most of those novels had a cover that represented what was going to happen in the book a bit more.
Well, I like that they switched to basically when they redid the covers for the Dark Age books, they did main character and his mech.
Yeah.
Except they had to break that for one book because there was no mechs in it.
I mean, why not? I mean, that's what I do when I do
Yeah.
characters in when I do characters in Vengeance. I mean, I'll put the unit logo or the
Mm-hmm.
unit relation, the mech, and the picture of the character. Joshua Snord. In this case, you've got his Archer, Intersideral Expedition, and the Snord's Irregulars logos, which are nice little coins. I know someone made coins like that as well for that. Pressed in, I don't remember. I think it was tin, but I mean, that's what I do as well for those because I think it's the best way to represent at least a character. So
Yeah.
it's a smarter thing to do. And I think here, since it has nothing to really do with the Hinterlands and anything, I'm not quite sure that's the best cover. The cover looks really cool though. And
Like
if
I
you
said,
have that,
he's literally mentioned in one paragraph.
yeah. But if that's on a shelf, you're going to
It stands
attract
out.
attention at least, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
If
that's a big plus. I
yeah.
would have had a mercenary, like a mercenary Iring All or something like that, with mechs in the back, mercs in the front, and some paperwork or some screens, something along those lines. A thing we never see in the book. What a merc's Iring All would look like. I think that would have been a better cover for that book. But would it have sold as well? That is hard to
Maybe.
say, and they probably commissioned this piece for a hefty sum, so they probably wanted to put it on the top of a book.
Oh, you mean $5?
I think CGL does pay a little bit better than that, but they're in the same category as a lot of the, let's say, mid-tier and I-tier people, where they pay you when they want to pay you and not when you deliver.
Hey, at least they give credit to the artist, unlike Games Workshop.
There you go. I mean, that's at least a start. I've had a lot of people come out saying that CGL doesn't always pay, well, never pays on time. But that's kind of industry standard, which is retarded, but we know. I mean, I was doing comics before, like I keep saying. In comics, being paid 3 months after delivery is standard. Places like Rippaverse that pay you, when you're done with the work and end it in, is the exception. It's really not the standard. CGL apparently follow those normal industry standards, and sometimes you have to remind them that I did work. Maybe it'd be nice if you paid me. So,
And let's not talk about royalties.
well, royalties are another thing
Next
altogether.
page.
And they're getting, well, I don't know how that suit is going to go with Blaine Pardo, but it's always good to not talk about one of those lawsuits when it's going on. You just wait until it's done, and I don't think there's any real anything to really talk about. They do say here on the back for use with Total Warfare and Alpha Strike. Alpha Strike a lot more than Total Warfare, basically.
I'm glad they're starting to use the Shadowhawk 2C more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've done a mini for it.
A lot of the 2Cs were just kind of forgotten about for years.
Yeah, they've been used more by just about everyone, but that's because a lot of players use them all the time. So, I mean, there's a reason why. Probably in one of those things, if you looked at the Ironwind Metals sales numbers, you'd be like, oh, well, they're actually making decent money off of those mechs. Better do them.
Yeah.
But yes, this book is, while it includes your Alpha Strike rules, your Total Warfare rules, and it's really an Alpha Strikes book. Hey, it's Tanky. Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, I can't complain. So this is basically yet another Alpha Strike book disguised as a Battletech book.
Exactly.
Oh,
well,
brilliant.
I was going to say, this is the Mercs rule book. This should have been in the box.
I've heard
it should have been in the box. Yep.
I haven't even opened my box. I'm going to be that douchebag who keeps his sealed up, and then 30 years from now, I'm going to sell it at an extreme markup.
Not sure. Well, who knows how that
Hey, people do it all the time with the first dead boxes, so, I may as well try. But hey, I'm going to mute my mic, go into the Walmart real quick, and I'm going to be listening in. And when I come back, I'll have thoughts,
right.
I suppose.
Perfect. We've got another Merrick fan here, following from the 80s in Australia. Have a welcome in Mr. Kane. Well, CGL has an odd history with some of their fans. Maybe Game Workshop sues fans, but never mind. But yes, I would agree that this is really a book that should have been in the Mercenaries Kickstarter box, or at least part of the Kickstarter Mercenary, literally.
Well, hang on. Just as a real quick aside, I just had a thought. They did announce that new campaign box.
Yep.
Where it's going to be the 8 mechs, the couple pieces of infantry, the 2 tanks, etc., etc. But it's really, you're paying for that book that's in there, which is going to be like the solo campaign guides. So I don't know, man. This whole thing reeks of GW, like multiple proprietary products to accomplish one
Well,
task.
I was gonna say this reeks of a Ponzi scheme, or where you basically sell one product to pay for your next one, and then your next one, and you never actually turn a profit.
Sir, that sounds more like a Kickstarter than anything else.
Well,
A Ponzi
we
scheme
do
is
have
outside the scope of Catalyst. They're more of a Kickstarter than anything else.
a Kickstarter scheme. Yeah, but at least no, I was gonna say at least it delivered everyone. And then Leviathan keeps popping up. Do not, under any circumstances, back the Voltron Kickstarter. I'm gonna be mean
was
there
that word
and,
you just
and
said?
ask people. Okay, do not support Catalyst doing another Kickstarter when they haven't even delivered on existing Kickstarters.
Or
And you want
it's
to know?
two,
And
right?
you know what? Hey, you know what? Well, number one, I wanted to mog you for your use of that word, but I will be serious for a moment. You know where I've seen this before? Multiple back-to-back undelivered Kickstarters. Spartan Games.
Yes.
Spartan
That is
Games. And if you're listening, Neil, fuck you.
There you go.
Dystopian
The
Wars.
Aces box.
And then, yeah. I'm sorry.
They announced that at PAX because you
Unplugged.
always gonna have to go to the Penny Arcade stuff. I didn't even know those guys were still around. And they announced a box that has a solo play in it, which is weird, but I understand why they're doing it because a majority of the current people that they're courting for Battletech don't have any real friends, so they have to be able to play on their own. Oh, did I say that out loud? Jeez, I'm being mean tonight.
I myself can't personally hate on that because I know damn good and well I can sit here and hate on it. But I also know damn good and well that I'm going to be sitting there in my truck in the middle of nowhere with 16 hours till the customer opens, and I'm going to be sitting there playing with myself.
Yeah, well, it's better to play with yourself at Battletech than other things. No, I understand why it exists, and it's not a bad idea. I mean, it might be even a box that I put some money towards if the price is reasonable. Honestly,
it's gonna be $80.
It's not terrible.
No, and it's all new minis, or well,
it's all new minis. Well, is it new minis or is it new
variants?
New variants.
I mean, it's new variants. It's a rifleman that nobody asks. It's a rifleman that nobody asked for. It's a howler that's it's a whatever howler. I mean, the only redeeming factor on it is that those SRMs are in a turret, so it's got 360 fire, but I don't care about having 360 fire when I have the mobility to go wherever I want. I like it for that Bane Kraken 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's
there's
what it's
two new
for.
mechs, I think. Yeah, the Thunderbolts 2C, and there's one other one.
Finally,
2C,
some big fucking
that's interesting. Locust 2C, Bane. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. But Thunderbolt 2C, I'm a fan of that. The Bane with the LRMs is going to be fun. Rifleman is the Rifleman. I mean, I've already got 5 of those. Locust 2C, not terrible thing. I mean, it's meant to be balanced, I guess.
C2, or it's the Rifleman C2, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another tank.
It's got like a double XL engine. I would never run it at this price point of 80. At this price point of $80, if we look at the number of actual minis in it, plus it sounds like there's going to be a decent amount of paper terrain, i.e., the Alpha Strike box, and then if we look at that campaign book, it seems to me like it's priced right where it needs to be, but the actual value is to be determined once we actually have it in our hands.
Yeah,
correct.
So we'll see. And I mean, I'm gonna get one because, like I said, man, like unironically, I'll play solo and I'll use that co-op mode with the kids, But otherwise, like, I actually have friends. I actually have options. You know what I mean?
I mean, of course, for me, the easiest seems to be playing Mega Mech. But I mean, I just want to play more Mega Mech in general and more Battletech in general, so that might not be a bad box for me either. I mean, I'm okay with some of their products. I mean, that doesn't seem too terribly bad. But I mean this book here, Hinterlands, should have been in that box as well, or have a box associated with it with some minis and some stuff. Make it a little bit more attractive than just a book.
Well, and the only thing I want to say about solo play before I mute myself for real this time is that we're in the post-COVID era. So to me, it's like if they'd come out with Battletech Alpha Strike solo play rules during COVID, like that would have been tight. But we're in the post-COVID area. The game stores are open. So like, what do we actually need this for? But I understand a lot of games are moving towards that model of including that in the rules. So
it's not a bad idea
that's just
to
my thought
include
on
it in the rules. I'm fully okay with it, and I was looking for, well, not solo play, but co-op play games might be a very nice thing as well. Yes, we keep bragging about having friends and touching grass. I am very sorry, MacMerc. It's
I
know
mean,
it's a
bro,
mean
if you
thing to
want
say.
friends, just go get some friends and just go touch grass and make some friends. I mean, it's that easy.
We've got plenty of Discords open where you can talk to all sorts of nasty people, great people, not nasty people, great people. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the link while I'm at it. I'm gonna drop the link to my Discord. If anybody joins now, I might not give you the access just yet because I'm working on this, but always a good thing to distribute it. Like we said, they do credit everybody that's worked on the book. This here is stupid, printed in China. This is ridiculous. You should never be printing your books in China. Not just because I don't like China, but because you shouldn't have your, how do you call that? Your logistics chain go through China for RPG products, especially the paper products. If there's one thing I like about G Dubs is that they still do all of their minis locally. I'll use air quotes there. Though their paper have been going through China as well, but it should all be done locally. And I mean, there's still plenty of printers in North America, and there's printers closing because they don't get contracts from companies like CGL.
Didn't CGL try to use a Canadian printer for one of the books or two?
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't know. I didn't check that too much. I mean, it's bound to be simpler, but let's not judge lest we be judged. No, we can judge CGLs. It's fine. We can judge CGL.
I guess my one point about the Hinterlands is they keep saying that this is a new attempt at something, and I'm like, no, this was done twice before. One time they actually did a source book, and one time they totally ignored the area. Chaos March was done 25 years ago now.
About.
And it is what the Hinterlands was. It gave you plenty of hooks, plenty of stuff. The second period that they did and they just totally ignored was the falling of the Free Worlds League. Basically, they totally just blew it off. There's still planets out there that are not part of the Free Worlds League that used to be, that you have no idea what's going on with them.
Even in the Vengeance maps, there's still some planets that are independent. But I mean, the ones that I've got left that are independent are probably going to be absorbed by Endurian or by the League. One of the two. At least I've got that going on. I'm going to say it now. Well, no, I'm going to wait till Tanky's here so we can have a bigger discussion on this when we get there. Because there is something that I want to talk about. This one is okay.
Hey, you do what you got to do and discuss what you got to discuss now, and I'll hop back in.
That one's going to be a bigger discussion point, and if Drew shows up or if anybody else shows up, it'll be nice to have a few more people. This, I think, is a howler.
It is.
Yeah, it's an howler.
That's as far as I got. That's as far as I got when I was looking at it. But yeah, that's definitely a howler. That's a howler from behind.
Yep. Then we've got
By
that
Brian
fantastic
Young.
story by Brian Young, which starts with the exact same thing he starts every single one of his stories with a woman holding things and trembling.
Oh God, that just reminded me that they broke up the 21st century Centauri Lancers, and through the entire book it goes 21st century Lancers, Peregrine Lancers. It's like, oh, just call them the Peregrine Lancers, which, if I remember right, was actually one of the units that formed the Chaos Irregulars.
Welcome to what CGL wants to do. We're going to talk about that more as
Well,
we go on.
isn't this kind of silly? Because in the last two books we reviewed, the opening fiction, because that is a thing. They always have an opening bit of fiction to really throw you into the setting of what the book is about. But the past two books we've reviewed, they didn't credit the author of the fiction, and right here, boom, here it is. The New York Times best-selling. No, hang on. The New York Times best-selling Star Wars author himself, Brian Young, or they
Junior
self,
contractor,
whatever.
Brian Young.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was all before things got weird with him.
Which he doesn't even have a Star Wars credit except for stories on their website.
Yeah, and that's where he got in trouble as well.
Yep, for saying that he actually had writing credits?
No, for proposing to people online. Never
well,
mind that. We're not going to discuss things that could get us a lawsuit. I mean, having a Merc pilot a Coyote, I know the Seafox are rebuilding those things, but I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be common enough that a Merc would have it in their hands. Never mind that, it's what they wanted to do.
How do we use this book?
How do we use this book? Well, use the rules that you see in the better books and hope for the best.
Super sweet.
I mean,
basically, this book is the launch book. It's just spread out through the whole thing.
What you should be reading: Foxtails, not really. Great at Rising is also not very good. Element of Treason,
Wait,
that was okay.
Is that really what that says right there? Is what you should be reading to get into this book?
Suggested reading, yes.
Of course,
the 3 Elements of Treason books: Foxtails, Great at Rising, and the Tamar Rising source book. Tamar Rising, which is one of the first source book I did. Well, outside, no, it's the second source book I bought because I bought CGL's War for Terra, Ilclan. Then Tamar Rising, when it came out, I was actually hyped for it, and then I read it and I was like, this is sort of lame.
It was okay.
Yeah, but it put things forward.
It's giving very heavy give us more money vibes.
I was gonna say Tamar Rising, after the other books that came out, even though Empire Flame was okay, actually was pretty good. And then
Empire Alone was serious. Empire Alone was fairly serious. It had issues,
yes,
but was fairly serious. Tamar Rising was like, here are all those cool new heroes, and then you have Dominion Divided, which
makes anything before or after look great.
Oh, you say that, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen For Ill Clan's Eye Only.
They're going to have Elric slip on a bar of soap in the shower because they don't like him as a character.
I have no idea what's going to happen with that. And we've heard that they're destroying House Liao completely. The Kaplan Confederation will fall. That's what I've heard from fairly reliable sources. And that explains what I'm seeing right now. We're going to discuss it. We'll get to that.
It really makes sense because my local group did get to participate in the WWE, which was Wolf Falcon. Yep, I'm sorry, worldwide event featuring Wolves, Falcons, and Smoke Jags versus Warrior House and Mara. And I mean, they had us set up to be. I ended up playing as the Capellans, and I mean,
was there a railroad?
Well, there was a lot of stuff I could get into at a later date, and I've covered before. But basically, like the way it was set up. And I mean, I'll grant the dude to the right of me was a tard who it was only his second game of Battletech ever. But like I was facing down a clan list, and it was like, dude, I can't do anything against these folks. Like it was destined for failure.
Oh
So,
God.
and I mean, when you look at their release for it, and you see the sheer amount of games that were played, and where
Who won?
and where you see how the Capellans just get utterly crushed. I'm sitting here and I'm like, there is just no way that happened organically. That people just got together and collectively said, we hate the Capellans so much, we're going to throw the game. It's like, it can't be the way it went down in the scoring. So I'm going to mute myself now.
Remembers the Games Workshop days, and that was, I think, in 6th edition or something like that, where they had those worldwide campaigns, but they were also on very tight railroads where like the Tau were going to win because they decided the Tau were going to win and things like that.
Oh, I was thinking of the worldwide event that they ran, and then when they got the results in, they had to rewrite books for CG or not CGL, but it was Fan Pro at the time when both the Nova Cat and the Ghost Bear fleets destroyed each other.
Well, so how is that book set up? Chaos Campaign, Chaos in the Hinterlands. So this is really your rules section. This is a bit of a fluff, Big Leagues and Chaos in the Hinterlands. That's more fluff, but it has a lot of rules still built in. This is your actual fluff section.
Rule book.
The Almotassin Iring Alls, that is your actual fluff section. This is my favorite part of this book because it is, well, set up like a Shadowrun book, but it is pretty good. Overall, this particular section is pretty good. If you want to look at how an Iring All would start up and how people would interact in it, I think this is the
Solaris to Reaches vibes because it's not like a really good hiring hall. It's kind of like the second tier.
I don't know. It's where you go when you don't have any good jobs. You know,
you can't go to Galita or in previous generations.
Well, Outreach no longer exists, but you know, the hotspot section is not used. The hotspot section is a bunch of micro campaigns, which are okay if you're one of those person who needs the source book to tell you what to do. We'll get to it when we get to it. This bit here is just a...
I was going to say, there is one interesting campaign in there that they let you be
the campaigns are not awful, but they're not things that I would use as a veteran both game master and Battletech player, basically. I mean, and the last bit is just, this is really silly. That's not what an actual contract would look like. An actual contract of mercenary employment. Like this, if I were a merc, I would probably fire my lawyer. And yes, you need a lawyer if you're a mercenary. Do not run a mercenary outfit without full legal. You need insurance. You need legal. Those are things that are needed. They're not just there for fun. You don't want.
Do you have a copy of Merck's 3055?
No.
I was going to say there's a contract in there also. Let me see if I have my copy. Give me a second.
It's not a. I mean, this is a fun fluff thing, but it's not a thing that is. That
I just wanted to compare it. It's one thing I have not compared because I was like, you know what?
This here is your like unit sheet and play sheet. That's functional for what you're going to have in the book itself. So the last bit is your regular record sheets. There is no new mechs, no new piece of hardware, no new tech at all. So it is not super useful either for that. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
This bit of art is really weird with the paramilitary guys grabbing cows and while there's a Huller actually shooting at a LRM carrier and that fire starter on its butt. This one's just weird.
Yeah, there's a contract in Mercenaries 3055 and the first Field Manual Mercenaries. I
Okay,
just
well,
haven't
that makes
compared them
sense.
yet because I haven't had time or
That
even
makes
thought about
sense.
it.
It's probably the same kind of thing, kind of really simple and not something an actual lawyer would write over. I mean, you've got lawyers working for your companies. You should have them write something for you. Oh no, that would be way too expensive because those guys don't accept to be paid 3 months late, and they would ask for all their money. And yeah, that would not be
Up
a good
front,
idea. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good people to to choose to have friends with. Let's say.
or they don't have lawyers because they can't respond to legal documents.
Never mind.
Are we forgetting that one?
They recommend 3,000 battle value to start out with, or 100 point value for Alpha Strike, which is tight. 3,000 battle value is not a whole lot, especially when you look at the kind of mechs that they recommend you take, which
Yeah.
are the mid-range ones. They're not the top of the line machines. But I mean, if you want an Atlas, well, there's your 3,000 points right there.
Jesus, you're looking at Vulcan benchmark at best. Battle value for a Vulcan is 1,500 points, and then Hunchback 1612 or 28.
I mean, if you look at the point value, it makes more sense.
Yeah,
Because with point value, with a 56, you get
you could get 3 mechs.
You could get 3 mechs fairly easily. At 3,000 BV, you're going to be very tight. You're going to have, your Thunderbolt and
you're going to have your Regent, and that's it.
Well, I mean, the Regent's a very good mech, though, so at least there's that.
But
I mean, you could do Thunderbolt and 2 Commandos, pretty much. I mean, I'm doing the math real quick in my head. It would be pretty much matchy. It's a rawhide. I don't even know what a rawhide is. I don't remember. But I mean, it's got rawhide, point value of 36, but 2,000 points. Ugh. I mean, have they done a mini for the rawhide? That's the other question. 55 tonner with reflective armor.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a Griffin. Okay, it's a Griffin. An ERPPC, a medium X pulse laser, and MML9. It's a Griffin matched up with a Wolverine with fancy armor. Okay. It looks decently cool. Is it functional? Well, it's a Griffin. I mean, it's decent. But I mean, 2,000 point for a 55
probably
tonner?
Not. That probably would not break it, honestly. Honestly, this is just a framework for you to work in.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what the thing is with these kinds of books, they're meant for the people who just started playing or things like that, right? And these charts here, once we start digging into it, if you go to your local game shop and things like that, they're going to say, if you show up with any mechs that is not on this list, if you wanted to play Lyran related mercs, and you say, yeah, I'm going to bring a Lyran Lance or whatever, and it's not mechs that are on this list, people are going to look at you funny. And you're going to have, at some point, people just going, well, no, you have to take one of the mechs that's in that list. Because that's what they tell you to do. That is the Games Workshop way of doing it.
Right. You could run 4 fleas, which is on the next page.
Well, the fleas video is coming up Monday. You can run 4 fleas. Sure. Yeah, you can do that. The thing is, yes, putting it to 4,000 BV would break it because the system is built around that. Around having a certain amount of BV and a certain amount of point value. and you're increasing as you go through your campaign, changes your scale and changes your how you're going to play it. So yes, that would cause some issues unless you change the entire system. And if you change the
Or
entire
you just
system,
bump
well,
up whatever by 10% or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you start doing that, the problem is if you start doing that, you're going to break things down the line, which is a problem. With how those rules are written, they have a good. No, they don't. I'm not going to say they have a good idea. They have a fairly bad idea here, and they take that bad idea and push it as much as they can. And I don't like that. I really don't
Like I
like
said,
that.
you could use this as just a framework and just
Mhm.
work with your own numbers.
But then why would you buy the book?
Yeah.
There
Hey,
you go.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here.
There you go. I mean, if you look at clan mechs, 3000 BV, well, I mean, it's because they give you the T variants of most of those mechs, which are okay at best. Thunderbolt C,
Hey,
at least you've got a
you
few
can
quick
run a
things here.
full star of stingers.
Badass. Wait, no. What's the opposite of badass?
Trash.
Well, Stinger C2s, they're probably not entirely terrible.
No,
What's
they're
a
not that
Stinger
bad.
C2? I mean, it's not a Stinger 2C, but Stinger C2, what have they? ER medium laser. Okay, 2 ER medium lasers. It's actually not that great.
I hate
I'd almost take the standard one to have the machine guns on, because they do want you to play with the battle with extra like vehicles and infantry and stuff like that. So the machine guns would be useful at some
Hey,
point.
it's the blood spirit mech. We get mentioned.
Yeah. Pirates. The Pirates have the Phoenix Hawk 2C for some reason. Though, I mean, that's technically a dark cast mech, so that kind of works. Awesome. 9Q. I mean, this is it. You've got one of the best
Pirates you could
archers on
actually
the
make
market.
work.
Hmm?
You could actually at least make something with the pirates.
That would work, yes, quite
Yeah.
reasonably. Because the
The
mechs are
mercenary.
older designed, so you have room to play with what you've got there. Got
Yeah.
more room to play, at least. Fleas, chameleon. I mean, same with the mercs. I mean, the mercs have no mechs into really huge. I mean, the biggest one's the Devastator, which is a decent mech to start with. But I
Oh,
mean,
not the DVS2. That thing's slow.
well, they're all slow. The Devastator's slow to
No,
begin
that
with.
one's like super slow.
It's a DVS2.
I think it's the non-upgrade version.
No, it's Tree 5.
Okay.
3.5, 2 Gauss rifle, 2 PPC, 4 medium lasers.
Okay.
It's got an XL engine, so it's going to die to a stiff breeze. No, not that much. I think it's got 18 tons of armor. I mean, it's the Devastator is a very decent mech in general. Okay, I have quite a bit of love for it, and the DVS 11, the new one, this one is also quite fun. 2 Gauss rifle, 2 snub nose PPCs. That's going to make things fun. If someone decides, oh, it's a Devastator, I'm going to get real close to it. Oops, those are snub nose PPCs, not regular ones, and then you die. I mean, there's ways to make it work.
Yeah, honestly, how they wrote the rules, it's literally you're taking one mech.
Yeah. I mean, it's really meant to be kind of like you're going to be playing mechwarrior 5, like I keep saying. You start with a little bit of something, and you try to keep growing. A full star of adder, are you crazy? An adder is probably 2000 BV on its own. Adders are expensive because they're good. How much is a stock adder?
You're looking at Devastator.
Yeah. Stock adders, 2083 point. 2 PPCs and a targeting computer. Yeah, You could do 2 adders A with the 2 LRM-20s. That would be pretty nasty. I'm okay with that. It would be a lot of LRMs on 2 little mechs. That would probably be scary. As it's their brand new and new fancy thing, they want to push their battlefield support things,
Ugh.
which a lot of people don't like already. From what at least the people I've talked to. Okay, I'm not in the Star League Discord, and I'm not on CGL's Discord, where everybody loves it. Even on places like Everything Battletech, Elm's Memory Core, people have a very mixed feeling about battlefield support stuff. I don't like it too much, but I mean, I haven't had time to read through the entire rule because, well, nobody's got the entire rules, and I won't be getting a Mercenaries box until sometime in 2037 or something like that, in the 27th millennium or whatever. So, I mean, putting those rules out before the actual rule for battlefield support and things related to it are fully available is a really bad idea, at least in my opinion. And it has a thing to convert points you haven't used into bonus battlefield support points. So,
Honestly, if you look at the rules, it's not set up for classic. It's set up for alpha.
yeah. And I will keep saying it. CGL doesn't like classic at all because classic is not their game. Alpha Strike is their game. And Alpha Strike already has the 90 pages of erratas and 90 pages of fixes and 2 editions in like 10 years, while classic has been around.
That's still better than a Games Workshop game.
Oh, well, let's not go there. The Game Workshops, because it's their marketing, the way they market things. It's not really because they need new editions. It's because that's how they sell new editions, basically.
That's how they make their stock price go up.
Well, nowadays it's going to be more by having video games, but Battlefield is supposed to be a simplified version of the rules for infantry and vehicle to ease people in to playing them in Total Warfare rules. No, they're meant to replace the rules for infantry and vehicle. They do not want you to
That's
play.
so they can do collectible cards.
Exactly. Because remember, CGL doesn't have the rights to sell miniatures. They have the right to sell the cards. You buy cards with miniatures attached to them. That is what you're getting from CGL. Because the rights for the miniatures are with Iron Will Metals, except for those premium minis that Iron Will Metal makes money off of as well. Its rights for Battletech are about as confusing as the rights for Conan. So let's try not to go too much into it.
I was going to say Lord of the Rings, but that was...
Lord of the Rings rights are not that confusing. They're in the hands of 3 people. Conan rights, they're a whole lot of fun. And then you have the E-Man rights. E-Man is even worse. So, But I think Battletech is the IP with the most confusing IP rights. Because everybody's got a hand on them.
Yeah. Because they did the whole Marvel thing before they just went bankrupt.
Exactly.
Let's hand out the rights, and then somebody buys that company, and somebody buys the company again. It just... Ugh.
All right. You start with a reputation of 1, and you have a war chest of 3,000 support points. The idea of support points is not terrible. I'm kind of okay with it, because if we started calculating C-Bill's value, things would get really, really, really confusing. But it's a little bit too simplified, and sometimes comes to bite you in the butt as well. So it's a bit confusing. You have to look at it. You have a nice little that's a galleon here, if I remember right. You don't. Most of the units, they have their name next to it, but this one doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's a galleon.
It's some variant of a galleon that's missing one of the turrets on the side.
Then you get playing a chaos campaign, which is free online if you want to find those rules, or maybe they took them off from the free. I'd have to check if it's still available for free. But that's how it kind of works.
This is exactly a reprint of the Mercenaries rulebook.
No, that is probably a
Yes.
reprint from what you have in the Mercenaries rulebook. Is it?
It starts in page 17 in the Mercenaries rulebook.
Negative reputation has no effect other than require your mercenary to gain more reputation order to reach positive effects.
It matches up perfectly with this book.
Okay, fun times. It's not available in the free download section, but you can get it for free from the store. That's what I thought here. But here is, I really don't like that particular line here. Mercenaries with negative reputation actually have a different way of looking at things. You will want usually to hire those disreputable mercenaries to do, disreputable work. Reputation shouldn't be a chart going from 0 to 100. It should be very vague. Less like a code of piracy. It's kind of a guidelines.
Well,
it should be a bell curve. It should be a bell curve. With 100 being Wolf's Dragoons and Iridani Light Horse, the goodest of good boys, and then the other end being the meanest of times, just the worst of the worst. Word of Blake Renegades, Borderline Pirates. Yeah, and then the middle is like, that's McCarran's Armored Cavalry. That's Hanson's Rough Riders. They could go either way.
Yeah, that would be a better way of looking at it. The Succession War campaign is free. Yes, that is true. I think that's what, this is what this is based off on. But I think this one here, compared to the one in the Mercenaries book, probably is what it is. But
the Chaos campaign. That's the Succession Wars Chaos campaign.
But this one here, they add the old section with having to run your contracts, having to pay your people every month, pay for your transport, how to use the support point system. So, this is what's in the Mercenaries book.
This is exactly a reprint.
Okay. Wow, that's so much fun paying for. Never mind.
Yep. There's a slight variations because of art and stuff like that, but it is almost a total reprint.
Of Mercenary Minds. This is a fun thing to write, and how mercenaries kind of work, but generally not how it is. Mercenaries will kill each other quite a bit and try to steal mechs from each other a lot more than trying to keep a good reputation and being friendly to the other guy that you blow up because he might be your friend next campaign. No, you're going to try to steal as much shit as you can from them so you can have as much resources to trade on your own side. That's just a weird aside here, trying to make the mercenaries look better than they should, basically. There's also this section here for tracking jumps. Wait, what were you going to say?
So yes, basically pages 17, 18, 19, 20 are all reprints of pages 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 in the Mercenaries rulebook from the box set.
Great. I understand why they do that, and I'd have to look through some of my Renegades game books, because some of them have reprint rules from one book to another. Because sometimes
it makes it simple.
You don't expect you don't expect people to buy everything. But if you have this book here, you should have mercenaries. And
well, like we said, this should have been the box book.
Yeah, that should have been the box book. Bad reputation? No, bad reputation is because you failed a contract or you reneged on a contract. If you sack your employers for non-payment or bad rep, they don't even consider that through this year. Nothing is considered through here outside of your employer pays you, which is not Battletechy, but it's how it is.
And currently, there's nobody to actually enforce merc contracts anyway, so it doesn't matter.
True enough. Tracking jumps is stupid because Battletech doesn't have jump points and jump regions and whatever. Do we have
Oh,
a
thank
map
you for
anywhere?
reminding me.
Don't think we have a map yet, but you will see when we
yet.
look at the maps, they have jump routes on them. Battletech doesn't feature jump routes. It's not Star Trek or Star Wars. You jump. That's it.
It's a circle.
Yeah, it's an
It's a planet
area
within
you
the
can
circle.
jump. Yes, there would be common jump routes, where the merchants would be going to and from. But in a region like the Hinterlands, with what they're saying about the Hinterlands, there wouldn't be any because there is no government and there's no
It's a no man's
standard.
land.
It's a no man's land, so there wouldn't be any. So this is a
Uh,
great invention that brings it more in line with Star Wars, and goes that same way.
Yeah. Jump ships have a range of 30 or 60 light years. Draw a circle.
There you go. There's the rules on how to negotiate a contract, which is basically how do you do your campaign stuff. So negotiate the contract, how much it's going to cost for the transport, if they pay for the transport or not. That's all money that's going to be taken from your war chest that you generate every month.
No MRBC. No, the MRBC is basically neutered and on the contractor's side and not on the contractee side. So right now there is, I think, 3 or maybe 4 governing bodies for mercenaries in the Ill Clan era. One of them's the MRBC, which is going broke because Comstar was propping them up. There's
And Comstar no longer exists.
The Sea Foxes are getting into it, which there is some cool fiction about them where a mercenary broke the contract. They literally dropped a trinary on top of the mercenaries and eliminated them and then sold the scrap to repay the contractor. Oh yeah, that actually upsetted some people on one of the discords I
Okay, that's odd. That is how I would see the Sea Fox acting in that kind of situation.
Right. They were all freaking out because it's like, oh, nobody decided to stop the Sea Foxes, and people were like, why would they? Then Sea Foxes wouldn't sell to them.
I mean, I'm in Vengeance. I'm just as bad with Lloyds of New London. They're the guys who run the insurance companies now, and they run also more or less the communication business because they've got black boxes and people don't have black boxes. So they're running that, and if you piss them off, they send Pinkertons after you.
Okay.
And Pinkerton has a warship. So if Pinkerton decides to take you out, Pinkerton's there.
They take you out. I think there's still one. There's the Davians did create their own kind of MRBC so that they could handle the landholds and stuff like that. Because that's how they were actually paying the mercs, was they were giving out for depending on what
giving out territory rather than money.
Correct. And some of them were non-transferable and some were transferable. So that means if you had a hair, it was transferable to the hair. And then in others, it was really weird.
Wizards of the Coast in the Battletech setting now? Not quite, but I mean, in Vengeance, I do play fast and loose with how the corporations manage things.
Mommy, I want to play mechwarrior 5.
Yes. I mean, look at the missions. Raid, Expedition, Pirate Hunt, Garrison, Invasion, Retainer. Yay, it's the mission types from mechwarrior 5.
Yeah.
Yes, it works, but it in my eye, I find it fairly boring. And it works in the framework they're going with, but I mean, if you're playing Battletech on the tabletop, you shouldn't be following that kind of framework as much, unless you're just doing a pickup game.
It should be it should be like you said, the Pirates of the Caribbean rules. It's a suggestion,
Yeah.
not hard rules.
So you've got your different contract steps. This is way too complex for what it should be, but that's how they decided to set it up. They also have a weird way of writing some of the rules. Any unit may voluntarily withdraw from play by simply spending MP to reach and exit the home edge. That is really weirdly written in my mind. Just
whoever wrote
you
it
may
was getting paid by the word.
possible, yes. or they're trying to, or they're courting the Wizard of the Coast audience of people who eat paste rather than actual gamers. I mean, this is just weird. Another thing that I find weird, but that's in the original Chaos rules as well.
Well,
in order to sell a mech, it needs to be repaired.
Rules was that if you exited off the map sheet, you were out of play.
There you go. I don't understand why you need to repair the mechs that you want to salvage. You salvage a mech and you want to sell it, you have to fully repair it and then sell it. What? No, just sell it. Sell the junk. That's how it works. Keep the parts you want, sell the rest. Never mind. There's a huge explanation on how to salvage with multiple players rather than, players actually agreeing on what they want to salvage or, betting on it or gambling on it or, how mercs would actually solve these kinds of things there.
Oh, that's weird. I actually have a artifact in my book which is more legit. Half the line of total under 12 warfare is actually not displaying. Like I got like 9% or 90% of the letter.
That might be your that might be your PDF reader though. But I don't want to do IT work. I'm doing IT work tomorrow morning. Okay.
Okay. Once I highlighted it, it fixed itself, but it was kind of weird.
That's a reader issue. No, you can't sell raw salvage. You have to repair it and then sell it. Don't ask me. And honestly, here, salvage for multiple players, like you said, they must be paid by the words because this is way too complex for something that should be, there's multiple players that want the same thing, have them ash it out.
Okay, give me 1 second.
How do we ash it out? Well, punch each other. Jeez. Do the normal way. There is the rule for having to designate a commander, and if you don't have your commander, you get a -2 to your penalty to your initiative roll. This, I think, is good. This, I think, should be standard in Battletech in general. Would be a nice addition to classic Battletech rules, at least, the advanced version of it, if you're playing more advanced rules. This I'm okay with. Force withdrawals, those rules were never standard, but here they give you a very good idea of what crippling damage is. 4 points of damage to a pilot, destruction of your sensors, gyro and engine hits. This makes sense. And I mean, people who have these kinds of damage and want to live to see another day would run away. That's okay. And unlike MechWarrior 5 or MechWarrior 5 clans, you don't eject when that happens. You just try to keep your mech around and get out of dodge. So this is not too bad. This is probably in your base book, the different mission type, assault, breakthrough, with who the attacker is, who the defender is, what the objectives are, with what rewards you get from it. This is the same kind of format they've been using for a lot of different books and a lot of different campaign tracks that they've done in previous books. This is functional. It works for doing these kinds of more or less pickup game. This should actually be in your Total Warfare book and not in just in those campaign books and things like that. You should literally have that available in your base book. Flip to it. Okay, we're doing this mission. This mission gives you your deployment, gives you your base details, etc. They could, have taken out the special rules section if there's nothing to write in the special rules section. That's just poor editing. But poor editing in CGL kind of goes in and at times. So it just gives you your basic missions and your basic things.
And like you said, all the units are actually labeled except for that galleon back there.
Yeah, very confusing. I mean, this is an SM5 field commander. That's what, an Ultra AC-20, I think, on top of an hovercraft. Very safe. If you have normal players, you don't need new books as long as everyone agrees. Yes, that is entirely right. I can understand why you'd sell some books and there's some stuff in here. I mean, this is not terrible here. I mean, like I said, this should be in your main book or in your Total Warfare book, but those are not bad sections. It'll tell you what kind of mission you can do, etc. Got a nice Myomer bundle here. Don't see that all that often. I think that's a sensor, a Myomer bundle, and an eat sink, to be exact. So 3 different pieces of components that we don't see all that often.
True.
Hey, it's Druth. Did you
I
win
made it.
your game with your Lizardmen?
No, we tied.
Oh, well, tying in football?
Yeah, I know, right?
I'd have to find a comic, old comic, where like it was one team winning, one team losing, and then there were the 2 guys wearing ties looking at each other because there was a tie that week.
What, Bob and Jim?
Yeah. So, like I said, this is a decent enough section that should be in your main book. Same thing with the special rules here. There's the rules for scanning, which are a little bit weird. You need to be within 2 X's of a building to scan it, or 4 X's if you have an active probe. But the active probe has a range itself, doesn't it?
I thought so. I thought it was 90.
That's the light active probe at 90. So 3 X's
Okay.
for a light active probe. And a regular active probe has a range of
Probably double.
5 for clan, 4 for inner sphere. Okay, so it kind of makes sense. I thought it was longer. I thought it was 9.
As in
The light
hexes?
active probe is 3. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Okay, I didn't check the rules, so this kind of follows in line. But I mean, if you have a clan active probe, that would be 5 X's technically. And the big difference is if you don't have a probe and you're trying to scan, you can't shoot. And if you have an active probe, you can shoot that turn. That makes active probes pretty darn useful. So I'm okay with those rules there. That's a nice rule to have. We've got this section here that looks like really Shadowrun art until you look at the battle armor in the back. It's pretty cool. It's nice to see Great At Legion stuff doing Great At Legion badass stuff.
It's just Shadowrun art, but they put an elemental in there. It's just like the old style art where it was just fantasy art with a goblin holding a laser pistol. And don't worry, he's just
There
some
you go.
crackhead with a laser pistol. That's all that is.
But this one here at least is pretty decent. I like it. I like it. Other bikes we don't see enough of. Time between tracks is where you repair your stuff, you salvage your stuff, you try to rearm your mechs, how to improve your pilot skills, etc. So nothing too special here. got a Jaeger mech. You don't see those all that often. Nice
Yeah, I
pirate
don't know
Jaeger
why.
mech.
The super trash can refrigerator.
That is a very good description of one. I'm doing Jaeger mech next week. I'm going to ask people to send me Jaeger mech pictures if you've got them. Probably going to be doing Jaeger mech and Wolfhound, I think, this week. Well, writing them up. I've got Flea and Marauder ready to go, and I'm going to be writing up the Jaeger mech and
It's an
Wolfhound this
evolved
week.
Urban mech.
An evolved urban mech, yes. Your
Yeah.
evolution is urban mech, Jaeger mech, and is there a third level
Katana?
evolution?
Or Crockett.
Yeah, that's. I was gonna
Real
say
talk.
Devastator, but no,
Real
Devastator's
talk,
not
though, I do
buckety
have
enough.
a soft spot for the Jaeger mech because of just how silly it looks with that spoiler on the trash can and everything.
That's an anti-air targeting computer, mate. Okay. I like the Jaeger mech with the LRM-15s. The one with the two LRM-15s, two medium lasers, two AC2s. I have a soft spot for it because I used it in mechwarrior 5, and it worked amazingly well. Then again,
Yeah,
the AC2s,
you could get it early.
yeah, and
Dude,
the
I
AC2s in
loved-
mechwarrior 5 are good. That's the big
I
difference.
loved the interior design of the cockpit in mechwarrior 5. It made me feel like I was piloting an old school submarine or something.
Going into depth, well, that could happen. Sell assets, etc.
It's also kind of like a rifleman, except the armor is about the same and you get just a little more DACA.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm okay with it. Here you've got your randomly generated maps. This gets a little bit confusing because not everyone has every single map sheet, especially as I don't even know map pack city. When did that come out?
I think it's in
It's not.
It's not.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No.
Map pack Savannah. No. I know this came out with Mercenaries, or it came with Mercenaries, so this is good. Grasslands, I've never been able to buy.
Every Savannah and City were released in Mercenaries, and they're supposed to hit general retail late
February?
2024, probably early 2025, probably February.
It's not terrible. I mean, that's the kind of product I would buy just because I want more maps. And
Oh, absolutely.
your options for
Map
buying
Pack
maps
Savannah's,
are
Map Pack Savannah's, I'm going to tell you right now, that set is awesome. But again, why are you putting out a product and telling me I have to get these products, but I can't even get these products without going to the Facebook groups and buying it third party from people who are parting out their Kickstarter?
Yep.
Actually, since we brought up maps, I have a question for all of you who have been playing long before I have. I saw on some of these old secondhand maps that there weren't any indicators for what level a hex is or something like that.
Oh,
Is
those would
it-
be really old.
Old.
Yeah, when that happens, is it just a thing where the two players will agree on what level everything is or something?
Pretty
More
much.
or less.
Cool.
I
That
mean,
has to be before 3rd edition.
That's before 2nd edition when I started playing.
Yeah.
So those are old, and those maps are going to be freakishly expensive.
Or they're
believe
not
it.
official maps.
I mean, I know a guy, what he did was take aerial maps and slapped X on top of them and then rework things around it. I mean,
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Those are tight.
Honestly, what I am thinking of doing is getting a vanilla hex mat, probably neoprene, and then getting a lot of that hex tech terrain from Gale Force 9. That stuff is awesome.
Yep,
Well,
that's
funny story. I actually have the Hextech maps, neoprene maps that they were supposed to have put out this year, but delayed for some reason. I think I know the reason, but that's a story for another time. And yeah, they're really fun, but they're really fun and they look really good when you combine them with the Hextech buildings and various other pieces of terrain. They look super crisp, super cool.
You'll have to tell us that story next time because now you got my curiosity piqued.
Basically, I think it has something to do with I think it has some. I'll make it short. I think it has something to do with how the maps are cut, to where if you butt two maps together, the hexes don't quite line up
Ooh.
as they
Ah,
should. It's so unnoticeable and it's so easy to mitigate, just like you would with the old paper mats. You just simply just be like, okay, this whole row is ignored, or this is a whole actual row of hexes. Like, figure it out. It's really easy. You don't need every single rule written down. Like, you can have some agency and figure it out.
I mean, yes, the Kickstarter should have shipped already to everyone. And I know some people are blaming QML, but a lot of that is on CGL. It's not on QML. QML is not the best company ever. I'll be honest there, and but they're not the worst either. I mean, they're really in between.
I had a couple of thoughts as I was listening in on this, and just to catch up real quick, Deadgum, the fact that they want you to do like 3,000 battle value for a clan force, and it's like, dude, that's like a light mech and maybe an elemental with 4 or 5 pilots. This is not fun. Not
This
fun
is not
at all. Very
nothing.
silly. Very silly.
for clan. Well, clans have the problem. That's a problem with clans always when you play with battle value, but that's just how it is.
As far as all this like negotiating and doing the paperwork and figuring out salvage rights and stuff, you mentioned settle it the mercenary way and just beat the crap out of each other. To which I was going to say, yes, do it the way that Sam Hyde wants you to play the Mondo Megabits NFT trading card game. To determine first player at the top of each round, you simply have a bare knuckles fist fight, and the person who either comes out on top wins, or the guy who taps out first loses. But in theory, you could just brawl for like 30 minutes before you finally decide who player one is. And I mean, that is the mercenary way. They ought to do that.
I mean, literally. I mean, if there is a dire wolf in half decent condition on the field, and there's 3 mercenary guys over there, the base rule will be who's got the biggest, whatever you want to say there.
And I'm sorry, Katie Farrow. I don't care that you're a little 16-year-old girl. There's a perfectly manageable direwolf over there. Hey, you're in a man's world, baby. Let's go.
wasn't she that character that fixed
That's
up
a Brian Young
just
character.
because?
She is the Luke Skywalker of Battletech. You are absolutely right.
No, not Luke Skywalker. She's
Yeah,
the Ray
dude.
Palpatine.
She's a bit of both, because she raised this. I don't care that it's the 3100s. It's still a clan Omnimech on a backwater swamp world. And you're telling me she had the resources and the facilities necessary to repair that? This whole thing reeks of Luke Skywalker fixing an NCOM T-65 X-Wing on a swamp world.
Actually, the T-65 is probably easier to fix because it's standard technology by that time. Never mind.
This is true.
Hey,
this
Mr.
is also
Tankersley.
true, but still.
There's a bit of rules for how to play a house campaign or a clan campaign, but they basically just go over it real quick. Here's your rules to play Clan Ellsworth. Your battlefield cards are at the end of the book. Have fun.
So I'm supposed to play Clan Hell's Horses by using the battlefield support rules.
Yeah. Well, no, they
It's
actually
on-
say
Cool, so-
like you should use battlefield support, but you could technically use the actual rules if you want to. But no, this is the bit that's really garbage. Here, I have a list of Ellsworth mech purchase options. There is not a single Ellsworth mech.
Oh,
in that
cool!
list.
I'm so stoked. I can buy
No
an Urban Mech
Balius.
2C.
No
I can bring an
Balius,
Urban Mech 2C.
no Ellsworcer, none of the Quad Vs. I mean,
This is
Whoop-de
the
fucking
most
do.
bland. That is the most. Hold that list right there, real quick for me, bud. That is the most bland, banal, like Inner Sphere clan second line security company you could possibly imagine. That's insane,
is
dude.
boring. That is what it is. It's boring.
I mean, at least they're giving love to the Urus. That's a pretty tight tank.
And
the
the
Inyo
Epona.
Strike.
The
That's
Epona's really nice too.
well. The
No,
Urus
yeah,
is the
sorry,
new
I
one
hit the wrong
that
button.
the Urus is the new one that came out in the Ilclan guides.
Yeah.
Rec guides, and I mean that thing is a hoss of a tank. You have to have a CDL, at least a Class B, in order to drive that thing. Everyone else is just bog standard.
No, we just
Clan
need to
Demolisher's
bring
not
back the
bad.
llama.
I mean, all of this here is decent enough, but it's meant to be used as battlefield support. You have the
Mhm.
battle value and point value because they say up top, like, yeah, you might want to do that if you are Clan Ellsworth.
Wait, hang
And-
on. It says 1,600 points for a Demolisher C.
Yeah.
How much is a freaking all the other tanks then? Because that's only two LB or Ultra AC-20s.
That's
It's all a
two
Demolisher
Ultra
Clan
10s,
is.
actually. I think that's two Ultra
Two
10s.
No, it's 20s.
No, it's a pair of Ultra,
Look it up.
or is it AGs?
Look it up. Look it up.
Well, you're forcing me to go look.
Look it up. Look it up.
Clan is the reinforced. No, that's the combine variant. Okay, it's the
Yes,
combine that has the twin Ultra AC. So two AC-20s with 40 salvos and a pair of medium lasers.
Oh, they're
Medium
LB
pulse. And six
and
machine
6
guns.
machine guns. Yeah, it's a kind of a brick. It's kind of a brick shit house. It's not a very fun tank to face down.
Well, unless you've got LRMs or AGs or anything that has a bit of range on it.
This is also true.
I mean, and that's why I was thinking it was the reinforced there with a pair of Ultra AC-10. This is a nasty piece of business, and it's got ballistic reinforced armor. So trying to go through it is going to take you a while.
I'm sorry. What
This
tank is that?
The Demolisher Reinforced, which is a combine version.
Oh, very nice. Of course, because it has
wonder
reinforced
how-
armor.
I wonder how that would fare in a combined arms formation.
No, that is a very decent tank. This is a standard main battle tank. I mean, this is what the
It cuts off,
tank it-
and I'm charging the new battery.
Command and Conquer
Uh,
heavy tank. Is that it? I mean, this is what it reminds me of, the old Command and
the-
Conquer heavy tank.
The Mammoth.
No, the Mammoth would be bigger and it'd have rocket launchers mounted to it. The heavy tank's just big guns.
Okay, I was thinking of the first.
That's the
heavy
Mammoth.
tank.
The Mammoth would have two SRM-6 on top of it. Or two ATM-6. Two Ultra AC-10s, two ATM-6, plenty of ammos, tons of Arden armor. This would be a fun tank.
You put that
Unfortunately, they're
together with
mostly showing just the red alert ones.
Here we've got the super fun map. There is artifacting on it. If it wants to do it, am I able to do it now? Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Well, all the worlds that are outside of the map still show up if you select true to map.
Oh, hey, and that's another thing. I remember that because I was muted. You were talking about, what do they call them? Jump routes?
Yeah.
I don't particularly. They used to, because they never had, they never had jump routes. It was always jump points.
Yeah,
So,
it's a circle.
Yeah, you're not jumping along a straight line so much as you're finding a point that you're at, finding the point you want to arrive at, whether it's a nadir, zenith, pirate, Lagrange, etc., point, calculating and then jumping there. There's no.
Well, it's even on the legend.
It makes no sense. I mean, this would work if Battletech was a universe where there was standard merchant routes always doing their merchant things. But if you
And it would also
lands, it makes no sense.
Yeah, because we should be able to draw straight lines from any system to any system. We don't have to jump from. Hang on, just hold it right there for a second. I don't have to jump a circular route from Zongsan to Chahar to get to Kukin's Pleasure Pit. I should be able to jump Oh, Blue Hole, yeah. I should be able to jump straight from Zongshan to Kuken's Pleasure Pit, and straight from Kuken's Pleasure Pit, I ought to be able to jump right down to Sudenton. But
Right.
you want me to follow these space highways, and I'm sorry, but this isn't Space Truckers, the PC game that I refuse to play because it makes me incredibly nervous. No, I'm serious. Why? How you want me to play a game where I'm supposed to be doing normal truck driver things, but I also have to monitor my oxygen level? I'm not playing that. That's scary. But anyway, no, I'll be able to jump straight from planet to planet. And this would work if Battletech was a game where we didn't have to sit there and recharge our batteries, and it take anywhere from 24 hours to a month to recharge.
Because there should honestly be a jump point from Barcelona to Black Earth, because I think that is exactly 30 light years.
Yeah. I mean, look, as long as I've got the jump range, whether I've got lithium ion batteries or no lithium ion batteries. So if I got lithium ion, I can make 2 jumps. If I don't, I can make 1 jump. But even then, as long as it's within jump range, and my computer and my navigators can calculate the jump coordinates, I can jump from any planet to any other planet. Technically from one star to another, but still, like, it's totally viable. So this right here, this only exists for campaign play to show what planets are linked, because I'm betting a yellow linked to a red, and I bet you there's some sort of color coordination there.
Oh yeah, no, it's all in the rules, and I am really not a fan of this, and CGL's been doing that nonstop. So
theoretically, you could jump to an abandoned system and jump to somewhere else.
Yeah,
that's why there's a lot of open tracks there, and
but that just makes this elite
thousands
dangerous.
of planets got. Yeah, we know thousands of planets got nuked in the Succession Wars and rendered uninhabitable and just straight up erased from the star maps, i.e., how the Word of Blake makes the hidden worlds. So I mean, come on, that's just ridiculous.
The Hinterlands are a new occurrence in the Battletech universe. We've already said that it is not.
I already went over that. This is the 3rd time that they've done something like this.
They're brand new. They haven't always been there. And if you disagree with me, you're just a heckin' bigot and you don't trust the science.
Okay, we're going to discuss it.
You had left, but I said this is Chaos March number 2.
Yep.
Chaos March 2 Electric Boogaloo. Reused art.
Yep.
The rest of it is... The next bit here is a bunch of lore stuff. It's actually not terrible. I don't like how it's formatted with all those asides.
What does the Rasselhog Dominion have to do with the Hinterlands? Are we that close to the Dominion?
Yeah, it goes all the way down.
Oh.
See the light blue.
It gets closer to Terra than you think.
Yeah. Oh, so this is the part of the Lyran Commonwealth that would have been the buffer zone
Falcon
between
incursion.
it and the... Okay, I'm tracking now.
It's Chaos March 3, the 2nd Electric Boogaloo. Okay, here there's another funny one. Many new mercenary commanders find the appeal of mercenary life comes from being their own boss and doing the job their way. That is entirely false. Most mercenaries are part of mercenary units, or at least mercenary conglomeration. The idea of having
co-ops.
Sounds like the difference between being an owner-operator and a company truck driver.
Don't forget co-ops now.
But the thing is, I mean, the idea of I own a lance and I'm my own mercenary outfit is very weird.
I'm my own man. I got to keep all my money at the end of the. mission, man. Ain't nobody tell me what to do. Also, him at the end of the mission, man. I only made $50 off that mission. They paid my ass 20 million. They paid my ass 20 million C-bills, and I only made 50 C-bills in my pocket. Once I paid my people and my ammo and everything.
Keeping all the money from the missions you make, so you're a pirate, right?
Well, in theory, you want to be your own man because you get to keep more of the money. But then, like, after you pay out of pocket for the repair costs and pay your overhead and your pilots and all that stuff. Well, if taxes are even a thing, and then it's like you know, you pay all that, and then yeah, I mean, you are like an owner-operator truck driver. You only make like $100 on that load that paid $20,000, and it's like, well, shit. Why do I do this for? Oh, because I don't
what
have
am
a
I doing
company to
this
answer
for?
to.
I'll just go join one of the professional armies.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
wouldn't
I
even pay
played
by
in
the
a
hour.
I played in an RPG where we did that. The year was 3048. We had done a couple of successful minor contracts. We couldn't figure out where to go. This guy overheard us in Galatia's hiring hall and said, "Hey, how about you guys do a 5-year stint with the Armed Forces of the Federated Commonwealth, and you know, you get to keep your mechs, all that good stuff. You just go and work for us and wear our uniform, and at the end of it, we'll let you go." Oh, cool. Where are we going to go? Don't worry about it. Oh, shit. Well, let's do it. Sounds fun. And we ended up being right there at the shining tip of the spear of Operation Rat. And we got annihilated. But at least the Crucius Lancers survived.
There you go.
But
I
you
like
can't
how
say you
everybody
didn't do your
sells clan
job.
equipment like it was, you know, candy. Crossbows, Battlemaster C's, Rifleman C's, Hunchback 2 C's. It's just candy. Everybody can buy that.
To be fair, if I salvage a crossbow, I'm definitely getting rid of it. I know it has a use. I'm just not a fan of it.
I tried playing one with 4 streaks SRM6 this week in the Mega Mech game. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
It did jack and shit. That's about what it did. The summoner
Streak
did a
sixes,
lot better.
I mean, Streak 6s are fun, and they do have a use. It's just when that's your sole armament, be prepared. I'm going to fire 8 Streak SRM6s. Why didn't they lock? Man, I spent 3 rounds and I only fired 1 out of all 8 of them.
That's
It's
pretty
turn
much what it
4 and
looked
I'm
like in
still
that game, too.
It's turn 4 and I'm still an ammo bomb. Why?
Then you've got another group of more piratey kind of guys that also, those guys just sell you clan refits. That's easy to do, I guess. We've got a
Well, you make it sound so easy to do. And wait, is that an actual Kyoto artwork?
Yes, that is an actual Kyoto artwork.
Oh, they really are sticking to the bit of the proliferation cycle, aren't they? But
And there's a Jaeger mech in the back too, so we've got 2 Jaeger mechs in that book. That's 2 more than in Boat Legends book.
Can we talk about the stupid names that they're coming up with, like the Shadow Blacks?
Wait, so how many Jaeger
Yes,
mechs?
the Shadow Blacks, and then you have the evil bads and the Shadow Bobados. And yeah.
2 things. One, before I lose the thought, you make it sound so easy to do clan refits when you're doing your end character and universe analysis of these mechs. You make it sound so easy to just slap some ferrofibrous armor here and an ERPPC
Ferro's the
there.
easiest thing because armor is easy to do, and ferrofibrous is basically 3D printing armor. You have a fiber that you put through a thing, and it prints the bit for it, and you putting ferro armor is easy on everything. Ferro is cheap, and you just need the room inside to do it. Lasers, autocannons, everything else, well, you have to have the right connectors, you have the right things to that. You need an actual factory to do it. And my character, where does he work? He works in a freaking factory. And we run clan gear 50% of the time. So.
Technology.
Perhaps you should start putting in a little disclaimer. Disclaimer: trained professional. I have a family-owned and operated factory. I know what I'm doing. You cannot do this in any backwoods field repair bay on a drop ship.
Come on now, I can do it on a tree, off a tree.
And then my second. And then the second thing is,
you would probably be able to do it as long as you've got the compound in. I mean, like I said, it's 3D printing. It's literally 3D printing a plate, so it's doable.
And then number 2, you say that we've had 2 Jaeger mechs so far in this book. How many Jaeger mechs did we have in Force Manual Davion?
None.
So we can put Jaeger mech. We can put Jaeger mech artwork in Hinterlands, but when it came time for push and shove in Force Manual Davion, the book of the faction that loves the Jaeger mech, I swear, bro, the Jaeger mech can work. Just trust me, bro. There were no Jaeger mechs.
The Jaeger mech?
No, Jaeger mech's technically an SLDF mech. for about 6 months, and then the SLDF collapsed.
For about 6
Well-
months, but
well-
Davian still
Well, you
keeps
got to
trying to
remember
make it work.
that Force Manual Davian is basically a book that they scrapped 10 years ago. So they just
So why did
filled
they
in
bother
the-
reprinting it?
Because they need money.
Because Catalyst right now is attempting to do Spaceballs 2, the search for more money, which is actually what Voltron is.
Oh yeah, they started doing
The
something with
whole
Voltron
section
too,
here-
didn't they?
The whole section for the I-Ring All, I really like. It's well set up. It's well written. You don't have 73 million.
Whoa, was that artwork of a
outside.
handgun?
Yes.
Oh, sweet.
So, it's a Shadowrun, probably a thing that they commissioned for Shadowrun that they put there.
I'm going to be real with you, Chief. Deadgum, I would not, if it wasn't Catalyst, I wouldn't have a problem with using Shadowrun assets because it's very cyberpunk, and Battletech does at times skirt the line between we're either going to be Mad Max silliness or we're going to be cyberpunk silliness. But the fact that it's Catalyst, it just comes off as incredibly lazy and contrite.
Every single fucking time. Every time they have a female character. Every time.
Every motherfucking time.
It's not even funny at this point. Like, dudes.
My expectations for this book were low, and my expectations were not subverted. I'm honestly not surprised. I don't know why you guys are surprised. I'm not.
I mean,
Who said
this
I
is
was
AI.
surprised?
It takes 5 seconds to do, and it's better. Dude, I have a bunch of chimps going to work in a suit. This one's got pants made out of fur.
What did he mean by that? What did the French Canadian mean by the chimps in suits going to work? What did he mean by this?
No, you probably haven't read Umbrella Academy, did you? Because
No.
in Umbrella Academy, the scientist / alien that runs Umbrella Academy uplifted all the chimps on Earth to make them intelligent. And you see in the cartoon, in the show on Netflix, you see one. In the comic, you see them all the fucking time. There's a couple working at the police station, things like that. It's always in the background. You always see those kind of chimps walking around in suits and walking in a police uniform and things like that. And I find that hilarious and really cool because I'm weird like that. Okay, this one has 3 legs. That's really weird, but
Well, there's another chimp under the suit. It's the little baby chimp following his dad to work.
It's little X on his behind his dad.
Yeah.
I did like the origin story for the new hiring though. It's a nice
Oh, no.
throwback.
This bit is really good except for that piece of art, which, good lord, every single.
I'm not
time.
surprised at all. It just never gets any better. I thought I would be desensitized, but I'm not. Even though I'm not surprised, I'm still pissed off.
There you go.
If,
Well,
if
see,
I'm a
Bob's random
chud,
distribution
if I'm a
table.
chud, then I've successfully been owned. But fuck you, I'm not going away.
I do like those rats that they put there. Those are really quick for generation of units. Perfectly fine.
And
You got a
actually, those are
grasshopper
actually better
here.
than the ones at the beginning of the book.
Yeah, those are better than the ones at the beginning of the book. And you have more options. I mean, if you wanted to build a 3000 BV unit, you've got more options here.
Yeah.
This one has got a cool grasshopper. We've got a Hunchback 2C. This one here, I'm not sure what it is. I can't tell.
Wolverine and
Well, that's a locust.
Stinger.
There's there's a bunch of vehicles, etc. Doesn't look very safe. There we've got an odd drop. We haven't seen many of those, so that's pretty cool to see.
So
That's a Wolverine and a Stinger
Stinger, yeah.
doing a hot drop. That's pretty cool. So for
That
the
is
art,
a tight piece of artwork. That
This
is
one here
also
is-
tight.
I could.
I mean,
almost
that's
hear
the other
Fortunate
2 guys
Son
that are going to
playing.
drop. So that's a
Crusader?
no.
Griffin
This
2C.
that's a Griffin 2C, and that's a Crusader
This-
probably.
Yeah, Crusader's the back one.
Crusader got that unicorn horn. Hey, I just dropped the link in my local Discord. I said 1 like equal 1 expectation subverted.
Then you've got like actual mini campaigns for the different things you want to do,
Wait,
including
they
like
didn't they didn't intersperse these campaigns throughout the book like they did in Kurita and
Nope.
Davion?
Nope,
They put them
those
all
are
in one
did.
spot?
all in one section.
Wow.
But then they put lore on top of it, so it's like
Yeah. It's very odd. There's a cool manticore though. We'll take the manticore.
They do make the new manticore do be looking good though. I do like that camo on it. What's that? Gray with blue stripe, blue tiger striping.
That's
blue,
Myron camo. Yeah,
yeah.
That's pretty tight. Arctic camo.
it would be
very
hard to
tight.
do,
Uh,
but
We're getting into the new factions that are popping up, and they totally forget about one faction that pops up at this next map.
Tell me it's the Alena Mercantile League.
No, it's the other one.
fake Falcons. Well, they haven't. Here's the piece of art Fubel was saying was really weird. It's because of the coloring, really. The coloring makes it really odd.
I'd say it's the coloring and the style.
As well.
It's the
Like, if it
coloring and the
was-
style because it doesn't
Yeah.
match with the rest of the artwork in the book. The rest of the artwork is very reused
Crisp.
3D assets and very at the same time admittedly crisp. And then there's this which looks very nice, but this was done by anyone on an iPad with ArtStation Pro or whatever that program is.
Mhm.
It's
I
nice.
mean, if it was
just
line
doesn't
art,
match.
it would actually look good.
This is
it was black.
100% Plog art that has been colored. Because this is something
Pretty much.
Plog would do.
Plog?
He's a goat. Matthew Plog, the
Ah,
best
They used to do a
Battletech
bunch of art
artist.
for them.
He was the best until they hired Scroggins and Bishop Ben Myers, and then now everything's crap and has no soul.
Apostica is the planet that Malvina nuked all the water supply on. It still has people on it.
I
don't
mean,
know
they're
about-
just playing Fallout. That's all.
Yeah, just
I
play
don't know
Fallout
about the
with
art.
battle mechs.
To what you were saying a second ago, Tanky, I don't know
Mhm.
about the mechs in the current art having no soul. Maybe that's because my tastes in mechs run a mite more modern, but I think the mechs I think look fine, but that might also be due to Brent Evans.
Brett Evans does a really good job, and so does David White. They do a really good job of trying to rein things in and keep it from looking too cookie cutter. But Bishop Steiner, due to his excessive amounts of autism, that's not me making fun of him. He brings it up every chance he can get. And Anthony Scroggins and his style, that is just them. Thank you, Horribly Pink. See, someone else speaks English here. Brent Evans and David White do a really good job of keeping things from looking too cookie cutter, whereas Ben Myers and Scroggins would rather everything be boxes with an excessive amount of panel lines.
I don't know how I feel about
curved boxes. They can't be straight boxes.
You know that meme? You know that meme where it's like, you know what? Fuck you, unnurgles and deplagifies your Death Guard Space Marines, and it's the 8th edition Death Guard models, but they cut off all the tentacles and filled in all the mouths, and now they just look like fat Ultramarines. I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to be like, you know what? Debevels your edges and depanel lines your mechs, and I'm going to do that with some CGL mechs and see what they look like.
Go back to page 83. That explains the entire cover of the book.
So that's where there is that one bit that explains the cool Etamoto. Okay.
Oh, there's the Hatamoto.
Yeah. No. Stop.
One last thing on CGL's current art staff. I don't know how I feel about Ray Arastia. I only just learned about him.
Up 83, page 83.
Yeah, I scrolled too much. And now it's...
We're going right back to the start.
No, page
I'm not
358
familiar
doesn't
with
exist.
I'm not familiar with Ray Arastia's art. What all has he done?
I've got some of the current Battletech posters. Yeah, I cracked, sadly.
Sandworm.
I wanted to support my LGS. and let's see, the
Oh,
artists
dude,
credited
I bought
on the.
I bought the blueprints from my local game store. I wanted them.
Oh,
My local game
okay.
store
So
had 'em. They're
Razi,
tight.
the
yeah, he's on he's on Elms quite often. A decent enough guy, at least from what I've seen.
who is
The guy who did the blueprints seems like
Ray
a decent enough guy.
Ray Arostia?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the artists credited on these posters. The others are David Dryberg, Keith Hahn, Ace Scroggins, and Brent Evans.
So Arostia is responsible for taking the digital assets and coloring them in and putting them in dynamic poses with backgrounds and stuff.
Lame.
Eh,
Well, it's a
eh.
job. It is a job, and he's not doing a terrible job at it.
I
Fair
mean,
enough, I suppose.
I've got the Clan Invasion posters. I've got the Mercenaries posters. I've even got an extra set of them to send
Oh,
to my
God.
homie in Texas. I mean, they're pretty tight.
I'm just glad that eBay.
I have nowhere to display them.
I'm just glad that the secondary market exists because I can satisfy my need for the more modern looking machines without giving Catalyst a goddamn penny.
There you go.
Based.
I mean, you do get a bit of a description on most planets when there's a hotspot. It's pretty. This bit here, the lore bits are okay. The mission bits, I just don't like how they're set up in general. I don't like their chaos campaign stuff. And I'll just
Like,
say
which one am I supposed to read first? Which of those columns am I supposed to read first?
Well, that's
the retainer
two
or
different
operations?
options. If you're, that's for one player and that's for the other player. They're two separate contracts.
So this is for
So you-
3 players. This is for a GM to issue the contracts and one player to take one contract and another player to take another contract.
Well, you could jump. You don't need the GM, really.
Fair enough.
You just need
That
to
sounds-
agree.
That sounds like playing two games at once, the way Tanky was putting it.
Little Wars TV has done that
There's
before.
your purely. This is purely a.
That is
Shadowrun.
shameless Shadowrun.
He is right at he is right at home in either a built up city in Battletech or in whatever they have in Shadowrun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
literally don't know any Shadowrun lore, and I would love to keep it that way.
Which sucks because a lot of the Shadowrun lore is actually pretty good.
Hey, you can work for Quick Cells. You can work for Quick Cell. There you go.
Oh.
You're good
up
to go.
until 5th edition.
18 is
That's
18
true,
is
I didn't
happy. He
play-
gets to work for Quick Cell. All of his work, his tireless
I'd
work,
say
and
halfway
that
through
Quick Cell
4th
stuff
edition, it got
is,
really
is
bad.
not in vain.
Fucking
Yeah, you got
Quick
me there,
Cell.
Fubal. I only played 4th
Are those
edition.
lightsabers? Hold on. Go back up by about 2
No,
pages.
those are light sticks.
Oh, they're light sticks, not to be confused with a lightsaber.
Well, it depends. Have you played No More Heroes?
I mean, I see odd artifacting through it as well. I don't. It might be
Okay,
just
I
my
see what
copy
you
for
mean.
that, though. I mean, okay.
Let's
I
talk
think
about the
this
map
is
real
the
quick.
last map, or is that not the last map? Is there another map
I've-
after that?
Yeah, I think there's one more.
There's some sea bills
otherwise-
here and the house bills. I mean, it's
One of these tracks, you get the choice of either giving the nukes to whoever's your contractor or keeping the nukes for yourself.
Hold on. Leave it right there on that frame. Let me see the map sheets at once. Okay, so
desert, a game of armored combat,
So,
or Clan
we
Invasion.
need every single one of those maps is available. If you bought Agoak and Clan Invasion, you've got those maps. You probably need 2 sets, but I mean, I've got 2 sets, so it is what it is. And then mines, that comes from Deserts, and that's been freely available for years. So
Yeah, Desert's the
okay, that's
only
fine.
one that's easy to get. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you.
oh yeah.
Alien Worlds wasn't too bad either. It's the grasslands that were a pain in the ass to get. I don't know why.
I keep putting off buying Alien Worlds and
Alien
Deserts,
Worlds
and I
is
know one
awesome.
day I'm not going to. Oh yeah,
Alien
Hellkite
Worlds is
swears
awesome.
by.
Just so there's one of them where there's a bottomless pit, basically. So if
Yeah,
you're
the
next to
fungal
it and fighting,
crevasse.
you push the guy down. Woo! There you go. Bye. 3,000
Fungal
PV
crev-
down the hole.
Fungal
Yeah, the next
crevasse
one
has
is
like
nothing
the
but
bottomless pit.
packed grasslands.
And then there's another map where it's like you go from level 0 to like level 20 spires. It's ridiculous.
Well, if it's possible though. So
Oh yeah, that
put
would
out
be
a book
super
like
tight.
Coventry or Foxfeet Scenario. That would be cool as well. Like I was saying earlier in the stream, some people might not have caught it. I think what we're gonna do every second Sunday is going to go look over a particular book or particular piece of source book material. So
Mhm.
we get some content, and it'll be fun just to talk about what we think about the different eras, the different info, etc. Yeah, I think that's the last map.
Yeah,
if that gold heist scenario doesn't end with you and Telly Savacolis and Donald Sutherland staring down a tiger tank to convince the tiger tank commander to blow open the vault, dead gum, it's not a real gold heist.
Well, it could be also like you stole the gold and then you're in an ancient tomb and you get killed off one by one by some mysterious commando guy. That's another movie I remember. I don't remember the title of it. It was like a
Because I
bunch
was
of
referencing Kelly's Heroes. I don't know what that
Yeah.
one is though.
I can't remember that one. It was it was based off in Afghanistan, like the bunch of operators in Afghanistan going rogue, stealing a bunch of gold, and then
Three
they eyed up
Kings?
in an old tomb, and then they each get picked off one by one, and yeah, maybe Three
shit.
Kings. Oh, it was a badass movie. I
They
can't
have Ice
remember what
Cube
its
in it.
title is.
Three Kings was in Iraq.
So it's a different movie. I mean, the one I'm talking about was an horror movie, though. So I mean, they were getting killed, and it was
Okay.
maybe supernatural, maybe not, and can't
I'm sure
remember the
someone in
title of it.
chat will. I'm sure someone in chat will let us know what's up.
Or someone in the replies. This is,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
the final map. We've got the Vesper Marches, we've got the Tamara Pact, we've got the Falcons, we got the Alienia pieces of shits, and the Ark Royal Coalition. This is what we will be expecting going forward from CGL. They want to break down the entire inner sphere in tiny factions like this,
Mm-hmm.
so you can play your dudes everywhere, just like in 40K.
Break it down into tiny factions so that we can print more books, so we can generate more revenue, so we can launch another Kickstarter that we have no intention of fulfilling, and repeat the cycle.
And
Correct.
most
And
of all, so we
also-
can market to people who pretend to be creative but can't be bothered to get off their asses and learn how the lore actually fucking works.
The important bit is that you have your dudes, and that they're led by a strong female character with a powerful
With an ugly ass face and Technicolor hair and the personality of a wet blanket.
To Terry Nils, I mean, you don't necessarily have to wait for a third-party eBay seller. I mean, Fortress Minis, Ares Games and Minis, and of course your friendly local game store. You can buy it from them right then and there on the spot. And I mean, they've already given the money to CGL. We discussed this before with either the Davion or Karita book. Your friendly local game store or one of those online retailers has already spent the money to get the books. So you're just giving money to the retailer at that point.
Yeah.
Problem is, if you buy too much from the retailer, then they're going to buy more stock and give CGL more money.
Yeah,
Well-
it's a vicious.
Well,
it's a
currently
vicious
most of the
cycle.
retailers are sitting on product because they can't sell it.
Oh yeah, there's that moratorium on Kickstarter product.
So
Like
Also-
apparently there's a GameStop in like Dresden or somewhere there in Germany that put it on the shelves, and CGL had to call them up and be like, "Hey, no, pull it, don't sell
Yeah.
it right now."
yeah,
I mean,
that means that they
At my
they are
local
sitting
store,
on
that book's
credit.
not even available yet. Just so
Hmm.
we're clear, it's not available yet at my store. They're usually
Dude,
a
I
little
just
bit
grabbed my
late, though,
chest.
at
I just
mentioning
grabbed
that,
my
so.
chest looking at those prices, and then I remember, oh wait, that's in Canadian dollar dues.
Yeah, it's $10 more about per book, which is reasonable. We only pay one tax on books rather than both taxes as well. So it's not as bad. It's 5% tax on books, which is pretty decent. Devil's Tomb, that might very well be it. That might very well be it.
tight.
I mean, I watched that. Yes, 18 years ago, 20 years ago, about. I mean, but then was my wife even in Canada when we watched that? I mean, it's been that long, and I've been married 20 years, so
This
it's been
man
a
had
long
his
time.
this man had his passport bro confirmed. 18 had his wife imported.
There you go.
A man of culture.
So
And my
hey,
wife imported from the U.S. That's a bit weird, but you know.
so having gone through the Hinterlands book, and now we're looking at your friendly local game store screen. I'm assuming we're done with the Hinterlands book. Like, what's at the very end of it after that last map?
Not
There's
much.
one more odd
Oh,
spot.
the artwork, that coloring, that is tight, dude.
Yeah, he's right. The yellow studs are pretty interesting.
That would
Who
be
is
hard
that?
to do, but that's
No.
a summoner from the Legion of Rust.
The Legion of Rust sounds tight, but no, that'd be easy. Just get one of the new AK paint markers and just. I mean, that's what
Yes,
I
that's
did with
true.
my Novacat Alpha Galaxy to do the white dots on the blue.
We got a Locust 2, not a Locust, a Jenner 2C here.
Ooh,
Not
So
bad.
you
with
were right
another-
to call the. So you were right
with
to call
another
the
sh- the
summoner the
same
Ford
Shadowhawk that
F-150
they've
of
used 3
Omnimax
times in the
Croft
book.
because it's even working when it's rusted.
yeah.
So that
Active
Shadowhawk's
piracy
been
and
used 3
garrison.
times.
We got a Marauder.
Why does that
From the Fox
Marauder look
Patrol?
way? Oh, and here I was
But-
about to say, why does that Marauder look tighter than any of the other Marauders we've seen?
That's
It looks
Duke
way more
Rifles.
imposing.
Not that much.
It's the Red Dukes.
But then again, I've been seeing Marauders for the past 2 days.
Oh yeah.
I've been doing freaking Marauder. The last bit is your just the tables, basically. A behemoth. That's an odd thing to put in, but it's cool.
Bring back the Rommel.
You've got your
The cover
cool.
from,
You've got your
Reprint of
battlefield
cover.
support cards for your El's Ors, because those won't be in any boxes anytime soon.
I don't like battlefield support, but I guess I will give them props to actually including that in the book. So that's good.
Well, that's because
Mar
it's not
Rising's
available anywhere
cover
else.
reprinted.
So.
Yeah. And there won't be. What you're going to see moving forward on Master Unit List is ultimately they will have all the record sheets up and the Alpha Strike cards. And then for non-mech units, you'll have the battlefield support cards, I bet.
You've got some demo units that you can use for quick generating quick games.
Opponents.
For pirates, for Lyrans, for Jade
That's
Falcon.
Mad Cat goes hard. I mean,
The
who
Mad
doesn't like
Cat
a
is
camoed up Mad
perfection.
Cat?
El's Ors. And finally,
The
one of the things
contract.
we watched at first, the contract and the record sheets that you would use.
So it's basic. Is it basically like the force sheets from Davion and Kurita? It just says mercenary at the top.
No, because you've got you have that section on the side here with your what the different costs are, for the repair cost, the day cost, the etc. from your war bank and etc. You've got your war chest at the top. This is more complex. It's for campaign play using those rules.
Or if you're a house unit that happens to also be unionized.
Yeah.
So
We have unionized against the Chancellor of the Capellan Confederation. Surely he will come to the bargaining table.
hold on,
Death
there's no
Commandos
rules
activate.
for the Foxtails in here to run the stupid co-op.
Well, that's it. I mean, co-op mercenary units, I mean, they kind of exist in Battletech, but it's not a very successful way of running a mercenary outfit, I would say.
Well, unfortunately, they now have made every unit a co-op because you now have the 21st Centauri Lancer, Peregrine Lancers as a freaking co-op.
That's because they're commies. That's not even I did. There you go. I mean,
Damn it.
what else can I say? I mean, that's not how actual mercs would work, especially the larger units. I mean, larger units,
Especially
you're
a
basically
unit that,
you're the military
especially a
unit. That's
unit that
it.
has, sterling reputation of the 21st Centauri
Century
Lancers.
Lancer.
They are supposed to be that perfect merc unit that's have never had issues except for the one issue when they were basically kidnapped.
Mm-mm-mm. So, what do we think of this book?
I wouldn't buy it personally. It's not a. If
It
I
should have
had
been
a
the rule
choice,
book for the mercs box set.
yeah, I think
I'll
that's
just
the
stick
best
with
way to say it.
I'll just stick with the BattleTech compendium. Thank you.
Mhm.
I mean,
I
I've
mean,
got campaign op. I'm looking right over here at campaign operations right now.
There you go. I don't think it's a. It's definitely not a must buy. I mean, I can see a lot of people buying it, especially the people who are just starting out and wanting to try to figure out, how am I going to play this and that. But it doesn't have enough role playing to be a role playing game. It doesn't have enough war gamey stuff to be a pure war game. It won't.
It doesn't have enough lore to be a lore book.
Doesn't have enough lore to be a lore book. It won't scratch the itch of the logistics madman who would sit around and be like, yeah, you need to spend this amount of C-bills for X and Y because everything's on the war chest system instead.
Let's be honest. This book is for the modern audience.
Yeah.
It feels very Games Workshop-y. It feels very buy the mercen. So you bought beginner box essentials, Agoak clan invasion. You bought Alpha Strike. You bought mercenaries. Now buy this book, and then buy the Hinterlands campaign box when that comes out, and you'll have everything you need to play the game.
Until we sell another book.
Until we sell another book that you have to get, because it'll have rules in that book that make the rules in this book make sense.
Yeah, maybe y'all were onto something when you were implying that CGL's just trying to go the Games Workshop route.
By pumping out campaign books with more and more rules.
I mean, it makes sense as a business. It's not as a business, it's not a terrible idea. The problem is, for Battletech, I'm not sure it works. It works with Warhammer because Warhammer, you keep selling new models and new boxes and new things.
And honestly, Games Workshop set up to sell models and not they don't care. They haven't really cared about the game.
I mean, Kevin Roundtree, their CEO, even said it himself. We are a model seller.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the rules exist for them to sell models.
They didn't take the lore seriously until about 7th edition.
Do you think, dude brings up a point, watered down for mass appeal, but do you think maybe it's because Catalyst is like, okay, the people who've been playing this game for the past 30 to 40 years, they already have dozens and dozens of minis. They're not going to be buying our new minis, but they will buy our new books, and they will buy our new rules. So maybe they're doing both minis to bring in new players and attract the new audience, but rules to attract the grogs.
I wouldn't say that, because I would say that I explained this on Twitter the other day. For Battletech, Gronards used to be anybody who didn't play past 3025. Now, Gronards and a good chunk of the audience doesn't play past 3067. So, and they're not selling any new books that currently are 3067 past.
And that's a really weird point as well, because Force Manual Davion and Curita, they come in at the tail end of the Forced Succession War, and they end right before the Great Refusal and the FedCom Civil War. 30, they encompass those books encompass a 30-year period that Catalyst is simply not focusing on at all. Why?
They're
so how does this all relate to
set
stuff being watered down for mass appeal?
because they can do whatever they want with the Oakland. They aren't required to go back.
They're
and
not.
look at all the-
They aren't confined to what was written in 1995 in the FedCom Civil War source book, or in Dawn of the Jihad, the first Jihad book. They're not confined by that in the Ill Clan era. Even with Dark Age, they were confined to WizKids lore and trying to iron and fluff all that out. With Ill Clan, it's uncharted territory, and they can do whatever they want with it, and they want you, the new player, the modern audience, to come along with them on this journey and forge your own unique path.
So here's the
problem
question:
is,
why are
with
they
what you're
making
saying-
content for previous eras instead of focusing all their efforts on Ill Clan? What they're doing instead feels more like they don't know where the hell they want to put their
Because
attention.
Don't
most of
ask
these companies
questions.
don't realize that that the new audience doesn't buy product.
Don't ask questions. Just consume more product and get excited for new product.
Correct.
But I will say here, I mean, the old players, they're going to buy the plastic. The old players are
Yeah.
far more interested in the minis than they are in the books.
I've been playing with the same record sheets and the same Battletech compendium, as you referenced earlier, for the past 30 years. I just want the new models. I don't care about Alpha Strike or any of this stuff. Me and
I
my
just wanna have
group
more
made our
mechs.
own campaign rules 30 years ago, and by God, we're going to keep on playing them.
There you
Pretty
go.
That was beautiful. Real talk, that sounded amazing.
But
I mean, there
No,
is a
that-
reason. There is a reason why on my social medias I put myself down as a non-union voice actor.
so but
So
basically
here's what
that
we're gonna
is the
do.
reason.
I mean, it is not a book I would buy. It doesn't have anything that is necessary
It's
to
a
play.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's below average. If the Force manuals were basically average books, except for the weird art stuff in the Force manual Davion with the mechs being all fucked up. The
That
Force
Griffin.
manual, I mean, the Force manual Davion would be like a 5. Force manual Kurita would be a 6, and this would be, let's say, a strong 3 or a 4. It's pretty pointless. It has nothing really useful in it. It's for an era most people won't play in. It's an era that I won't play in because I'm making my own era for that region, for that time frame, right?
The
Mhm.
Giga Chad.
Yeah.
So I mean, who's this for?
They're sycophants.
It's for Rem. It's for Rem Alternus, Brian Young, Ben Myers, Tuck Davion.
And to a smaller extent, Lauren
all of them.
Coleman.
Yeah, Lauren.
Well, Lauren
Uh,
wants to buy a new porch, so or a
Hey,
gazebo
you
at
gotta
this
get that
point.
porch, man. Gotta get that porch money somehow.
Gotta get my new porch remodeled. Oh, what's that about paying my contractors? Yeah, I'll do it another time.
Yeah, it's just contractors. They can wait.
And I'll use
Um,
company funds for it. It's my money technically, isn't it?
So what I've gone back and looked at is that there's 2 products that are actually missing. You for all the eras, you currently have a product that can basically a field manual for.
Yeah.
You do not have one for basically Fourth War and for the Clan Invasion. Surprisingly, you had the 20-year update, and that does not cover clans, does not cover Saint Ives, does not cover.
Isn't there an era?
Really?
Isn't there an era manual 3052?
Yes, but the era manuals suck because they literally are like 5 units.
Oh,
They are like the quick start campaign ideas.
Long story short, as I've said elsewhere, we are all creating our own great fanon together, led by Prof up there. So we'd all do very well to focus on that. I was not there for this, but the Battletech fans alone have kept this shit alive before, and we're going to do it again.
I mean, Prof's doing his thing. Minis and Dumbbells is doing his thing. Hellkite's doing his thing. That's 3 fandoms. That's 3 fan-made alternatives that I know of. off the top of my head. And Hellkites, I do believe, is able to slot into anyone's really because he's just focused on one thing
Yeah,
in one specific spot.
He's doing his own block of things, which is functional in just about everything else, as long as everything else lets him. That's the that's the thing. Vengeance
Super
is
tight.
And I'm
Super
gonna
tight.
and I'm gonna come out and say it. Even some of the less interesting of what we made is way more interesting and involving and engaging than anything CGL shit out. I fucking said
I mean,
because I really believe it.
Prof made a chart to roll on to see how fucked up your quick sell equipment is. That's pretty tight.
That's awesome. I need
no, that's
to
your
see
series
that.
equipment, not your quick sell. It's your series equipment. Because the Alce
yes,
Liao's
Gary
fucked.
Nails,
It's
there
because
is
Alce
supposed to be
Liao
like
fucked up.
10 products out there that they have not released.
Quick sell. I should
don't
probably
want
do
pay,
one for quick sell.
writers.
I should probably do one for quick sell as well. I should actually start digging and see what I could do for a lot of companies and a lot of different things. Like, because right now Battletech is, I know we know, right? You get your large laser, it does this, that, and that. Maybe I should make it weird charts and things like that of if you're wanting to go really into weeds.
Go channel
how they
Gary
go.
Gygax.
Like
Tables for everything.
you bought an enforcer from Akinar. Okay, well, you're lucky. The autocannon on that one actually is better than the standard autocannon. And this and that. And I mean, you could go in the weeds.
Their autocannon doesn't. The autocannon on the Enforcer, due to the Enforcer's targeting system, does not, in fact, have a minimum range. Go on ahead and mark out 0 to short range on that autocannon type thing.
Yeah, things like that. I mean, there's quite a few things you could do if you wanted to either make the game more complex, which some people will find confusing with Battletech, or if you just want to fluff things up a little bit more, because that's always part of the fun of it.
I'm over here playing with myself, so it can be as complicated as I want it to be. I don't have to worry about someone else crying, "It's too complicated." Nah, dude, I'm playing with myself. I'll make it as complicated as I want it to be.
Oh my.
I was going to add in a quick review for Letter of the Laws by Philip Lee. Skip it. Nothing happens between book 1 or page 1 and page 317 that actually changes the universe.
But Battletech has literally never been doing better, guys.
Hey, they changed that. Battletech has now not been ran correctly in 40 years.
They actually
Yeah, that's the
said
new
that?
thing that they've been saying.
Who said that?
Well,
There was a few people on X and a few people on the Star League servers, things like that. It's like
Bree.
Bri, yeah.
Well, I do remember that time over the summer when Rem said that she could run the marketing department better than the old white men.
Bullshit. The only thing she's going to do is make it stunning and brave and use Valk as her attack dog to anyone to the right of Stalin.
Well, I actually
here's your chart
at the
of
numbers.
Here's your chart for Ceres.
Nice.
Where you bought a mech from the Kaplan Confederation. You bought a mech from the Kaplan Confederation? Well, you have a 50% chance of it having ramshackle or poor workmanship. Your PPCs might not run like your ER PPCs and ER lasers might not run like ER PPCs and ER lasers, but still generate the same EAT. Your pulse lasers might not actually work as well as regular pulse lasers. Your streak SRMs have a tendency to, shoot missiles anyways when they don't get a lock. Your stealth armor might not work like it's supposed to work. Period. Your Vindicator 7L might have an industrial mech chassis rather than a reinforced chassis. That could be an issue. Or any gun that you bought might actually not be an Omni mech, but they still charge you for an Omni mech, of course. But there you go.
Point man, unfortunately, I still read the novels just because I'm the sucker who reads books.
But I know quite a few people that have been reading most of the novels. Icarus, right? It reads most of them as well. So there you go.
Where's he at tonight? He's usually all up in this stuff.
Oh, he might be doing all sorts of things. He's usually here, yeah, but
I
I'm-
will.
He
Terry
sent me a
Nils-
bunch of edits for Battle of Yori that I need to do.
I will gladly read the novels if I can get them secondhand.
I put them on audio, not a bad idea.
you
I
can
mean,
do
the
that too.
original novels, the first batches of novels, I don't have any problem reading. It's the recent stuff that I'm not going to jump on.
I did buy the the unpre-owned versions of the Blood of Kerensky trilogy in the hardcover edition. That was before I learned about all this nonsense going on.
Oh,
but
it's
I
not;
thought,
those
nope,
are not
nope,
bad books to buy.
See, I got mixed opinions on Mike Stackpole because he's got problems of his own with all this going on. But one, he's a good writer, at least better than many others in it right now. And two, as far as I know, he never used his writing as an ideological cudgel or anything.
Yeah, he's.
I tend to agree. And he did come out and tell Braebury, no, Falk was never trans. That is not the intent behind that sentence. You're a junior contractor.
Yeah, see,
The thing is, he's an
Stackpole
old
and
school.
Young,
He's an old school nerd doing old school nerd things. The same thing with what was his name? The guy Ed Greenwood for Forgotten Realms. I mean, when Ed Greenwood got attacked, I think it was last year, or maybe no, it's this year that he got attacked for his Elminster books being regressive and all that stuff. He went on an apology tour and all that stuff. It's just because he's an old school nerd from the 70s.
yeah,
And these guys, they don't understand all the nuances of what's
old
going
school
on,
nerd.
basically.
I just wanted to write really cool stories and not have nerds be pushed into lockers.
Yeah.
Now you guys have come
Frosty,
in
yes,
saying you guys are.
I accept punishment for reading some of this new stuff, and I think I've talked to the professor about it.
It's good. And
Now-
you need some people
now you
reading
guys
it and
are-
finding the good books when they
You-
are good.
you have nothing to be punished for reading the new stuff, Fooble. In fact, you're doing it so that we don't have to. And if
Exactly.
if I ever meet you in real life, I'm buying you a beer for that.
It'll be a Pepsi, but we'll
Okay, Pepsis
I'll
are
buy
good.
you a whole 6-pack of 2 liters of Pepsi if that's what you want. You deserve it.
I got myself my celebratory cranberry Canada Dry that I usually get around Christmas. I got that for
Tight.
myself today.
Oh, lucky you! I just get eggnog.
No, I
Jim
like
Beam Red Stag.
Yeah,
I really like that cranberry Canada Dry, especially if I can get some Jim Beam or something like that. I might go and
yes,
look for that
it
after
is
paycheck.
punishment enough to read the new stuff.
You take a can of ginger ale and a few shots of fruit rum, and you got a nice little fizzy fruity drink there.
There you go. That's what I kind of like that cranberry Canada Dry for. I mix it with either rum or rum, bourbon, or
Bourbon. Where'd the
That's
extra "or" come from?
bourbon. Yeah, that's how you're supposed
Usually I
Bourbon.
just drink straight whiskey because I'm
Bourbon.
an old bastard.
and
I'm an old
or,
school bastard
gin,
like
of
that.
course, gin.
Oh man, I
Oh.
can't take gin. That stuff gets me somehow.
Gin is just
I'm a
dry.
gin guy, anyways. I
That and
really like gin
tequila.
on a lot of stuff. All right, we've been going for long enough. I thank everybody for being here today. In 2 weeks, well, probably this week, I'm going to decide what book we're going to review in 2 weeks. Since there's no new CGL book, probably just go with an older one. And I was really thinking War of 39. Historical War of 39 would be a book.
There
to
is a
read and
chance we
go
might
through.
see IKOE before the end of the year.
What's
For Clan
IKOE?
Eyes only? Yeah, Clan
Yeah.
Eyes only. Maybe
Clan's
before
Eyes
the end of the
only,
year. When it comes out, we'll review it and we'll look at it. We've got no reason not to. I mean, it's fun. We've got a lot of people talking in the chat. We had almost 20 people watching, which is insane thinking
Hell
about
yeah.
it.
Y'all
And we'll keep
are-
growing. That's the idea. And keep having fun. No, that's a WW Pro thing. I shouldn't steal his His tagline.
Y'all are princes among men, even you lurkers.
Yeah, and and everybody, I want to remind everyone, even if the people who might not like me, I am always reachable, and I'm always wanting to talk to people. And,
how many of those people horribly pink were bots?
Not that many.
Well, there was only 20.
YouTube is pretty rough on bots as well, and I haven't paid for any, so. So I will see
Probably.
everybody later. This week we've got the video on the Flea coming out on Monday. And on Friday we'll have the rather long and nasty video on the Marauder, because that one's going to be just crazy. I'm going to share the link to the Discord again in the chat. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you really like what we're doing here, you can join the membership for starting at 99 cents a month. So it shouldn't break the bank if you want to just support us. And I will see everybody later. Bye-bye.
Be nice to your moms.
That is important, to be nice to your moms.